You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Well, hunker down. Maybe.
Storm is coming.
Yeah, there's a look at downtown Jacksonville as we get ready for Hurricane Helene in Florida. I wouldn't say, oh, wait.
Whoa.
Hey, hi. I wouldn't say we're going to get Hurricane Helene too much right in downtown Jacksonville. But obviously, one thing you got to be aware of around here for at least us and our forecasting, Mike Burrish and First World Weather Team's forecasting, I mean, our viewing area is big. So from Waycross, Georgia, who could see some impacts of this as it goes by, and into Georgia, and also Lake City, who's a little bit closer to where obviously the storm is going to hit over in Tallahassee area. So there's definitely some impacts in our viewing area. What does it mean for us, like right in Jacksonville, if you're in Ponte Vedra or St. Johns County somewhere or North Side? I mean, I think that's to be determined. But also sounds like to me, from Mike Burrish, some winds, and we'll get that today, and also some possibilities of tornadoes. I think that's one of the bigger threats that we have from this storm. So stay locked into the First Alert Weather Team and CBS 47 Fox 30, and enjoy your day off from work and school. It was nice coming in without a lot of traffic, by the way, today.
Yeah, it's a ghost town out here.
I love ghost towns, man. It's one of my favorite parts of working the job that I work is when weekends or holidays, when you've got to work, there's nobody on the road. I kind of like that. So that part is cool, and it was pretty quiet out there today. No school traffic to get through or anything else, so the kids have a couple of days to hang out and get a little fall break, I guess. Doesn't
what a
impact
treat!
Yeah, what a treat! It must be nice.
Yep.
It doesn't impact the Jags. By the way, they'll practice today. It does impact the way we cover the Jags a little bit. I think there's a new policy of sorts. I don't know if it's the Jags. I don't know if it's the NFL. I don't know if it's a city. I didn't really ask too many questions about it, but they'll be doing their interviews today on Zoom with Ryan Nielsen and Press Taylor, and also a couple players.
It's probably called being 0-3 more than anything, huh?
It's probably not a bad timing thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if 0-3 has to do with it, but I think anytime you can avoid the media and have a good excuse to do it, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm sorry, our connection's going out. The interview's got to be canceled.
There might be some of that.
There it comes. Yeah, I can't wait.
But by Thursday, that's the haze in the barn there. Speaking of, we were in the locker room yesterday. I kind of like this new schedule. I can tell you what's going on in the locker room a little bit. We'll have the Locker Room Show coming up at 1 o'clock today on our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, along with a bunch of other shows on the network. And interesting locker room. In fact, so much so I was having a hard time gauging it yesterday. I think the noise is loud, so you can kind of sense when people hear the noise and people are talking and stuff's getting their way because it's impossible to avoid, and they get that. Like that's fine. I think there's talk to a guy like Evan Ingram, and what I was very interested in yesterday, if we did get to talk to Ingram, is what it looked like to him on Monday, watching it from that perspective.
Yeah, and
I think he, without throwing people under the bus or anything else, made it crystal clear that it was hard to watch, and he acknowledged, hey, when you got stuff going on, you're coming in and out of the huddle and you got plays and you're on the sideline, you're focused on playing. Even when it's unraveling like that, you don't get the full scope of it. Right? No, you've been there.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see it in totality.
Yeah. And then you watch it in the film room, and watching in the film room is even different. You don't watch it front to back the way the fans watch it, everybody watch it as a viewing thing. You watch it clips, and you definitely don't watch it, I don't think, with the announcer track on.
Yeah,
right?
No, without a doubt.
I mean, so if you're guys like Darnell Savage, but specifically Evan Ingram, who's a captain of this football team and has been around and he's ridden the roller coaster here in Jacksonville, well, then you're watching, and it's whoa, and then you're listening to your teammates and the franchise you're invested in just get absolutely lambasted on Monday night. So I think you could sense that. There's a little. I think he's definitely ticked off. I think he's a little bit ticked off too, because you know how players get. He wishes he could go help right now, and he hasn't been able to the last couple of weeks. He'd much rather be out there, even going through the misery with his teammates, than actually watching it from afar. And maybe they get him back. But I just thought he came back to this, Austin, all the time yesterday, which I thought was a very good way to put it. And even when nudged in a certain direction, it was almost like he wanted to go and say a little bit more, but he would come back to this. We have to earn our success. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's a good way to put it. right? I mean, you got to earn the success. And what he meant by that is really early on in the game. The Jags have to earn the opportunity to be in a game, right? The opportunity to go win a game.
Yep.
And they're not doing enough early on in the football games. I mean, they have started 3 games with 3 3-and-outs. And that speaks volumes on offense alone to say, we're not doing enough early in the football game. And obviously, we've talked a lot about it. They don't react very well when the snowball starts going downhill.
Correct. Yeah, and that to me is kind of the biggest thing. And, alluding to, the coverage Monday night, I mean, I wish we had Chris Collinsworth in the booth because I feel like that guy can never be, negative towards anybody.
Yeah.
It was a bad interception by Trevor Lawrence, but keep in mind, the hair looks good. At least there's something to go off of. It was brutal watching that Monday night game because they were ripping the team apart, as they should. But, from a national coverage standpoint, from your opportunity to be on the biggest stage of football, it wasn't a good look. But thankfully, you kind of had the split screen going on for a little bit, and thankfully you had another game going on that was a little more competitive with some great, quarterback showcases where you could kind of turn the channel if you wanted to. But me, I'm a glutton for punishment. I sat through the whole fourth quarter, Brent. I was like, let's see what Mac Jones has.
God bless you.
When you talk about what this team is going
I
through.
still haven't even seen the touchdown throw. I still haven't seen the touch. I was there at the game, and I haven't seen the touchdown.
Yeah, you've seen one, you've seen them all. But when you talk about, what's the issue with this team, what needs to be addressed, see, to me, it's this team doesn't know how to handle adversity. Okay, when you have drop balls, when you have penalties, when Travis Etienne fumbles in the end zone, when the opposing team comes out and scores right away, they don't know how to stop it. And they don't know how to stop that in those moments, and they don't know how to stop losing streaks. And we've seen this now for 2 seasons, and that's an issue. And if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm looking at that because this is the NFL. There's going to be ups and downs. Look at the Bengals right now. They're nosediving, right? But I don't think anyone's really worried about the Bengals right now because they have a pretty solid quarterback. We'll see if Jamar Chase comes around and wants to be a team player again. T. Higgins is coming back. No one's really worried about the Bengals when they kind of should because they're 0-3. Or the Ravens who are 0-2 then, finally won a game. These teams know how to eventually rebound. And right now, counting off of last season after that Bengals primetime game, this team does not know how to win. And this team does not know how to handle losing. And I say this day in and day out. And until I see something different, I'll keep seeing it. You're going to have adversity. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be bad plays. There's going to be fumbles. There's going to be drop balls. There's going to be, blown coverages, whatever you want to call it. Every team goes through this. But the great teams know how to rebound and correct it and say, that's not going to happen again. And right now, the Jaguars aren't even close to doing that.
No, they're not. And they're not even close to a good team or an average team. Forget about a great team. But I think that's so stunning to hear you say. And I know we've said it a couple of times, and we're kind of going back now even a couple of weeks. And some of these topics keep surfacing on the overall thought of this. But it's hard to comprehend that they don't handle adversity in many respects because we see the image of this football team, the faces of this football team. The Foyers, the Ingrams, the Kirks, the Trevors, the even Etiennes, they did do that in 2022. I mean, they did it almost heroically in 2022. They were down. They were 3-7, man. They were down to the Raiders and the Cowboys and I think some other teams by double digits. They were down 4 touchdowns to the Chargers in the playoffs in the first half.
It was always the Jags. That was their identity for a while.
And they answered the bell. So it's really hard, I think, for everybody when you say that. Wait a minute. No, they're resilient. No, they're not. They were, but they're not. And I think there's a separation there for some reason. And we've lost that resiliency in Jacksonville. And quite frankly, I don't actually think it's because Rayshon Jenkins and Foley Fatukasi and Calvin Ridley aren't here. I don't think that's it because those were part of they didn't face it very well in the last 6 weeks of the year either. In fact, a lot of those guys are to blame for losing to Tennessee in the final week when you could have made the playoffs, or at least part of it. I'm not blaming all of them. But it's just a wild dynamic. So the other dynamic is this. As my kid comes home yesterday I see him at 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning, and he continues to talk about the Jags for the next hour and a half until 2:30.
Going through it.
Oh, he's going through it. But Jags fans are going through it. And it's just there's that. There's that. Oh, yeah, there's this and that. And I mean, it's a real, this is hard. okay? I know when I pose this question, it's like, what do you fix? I think I asked you this a little bit yesterday. Yep. And people's questions to that or answers to that is like this snarky, you fire the coach. Okay, well, listen, I'm going to set the parameters here. You're not firing the coach because they didn't. And we know Shad Khan is not right now. Like, not right now. So I'm talking in season. If you are to salvage it, which, by the way, you can throw your hands up in the air and Jay can say Texans are going to win by 35, and he might be right. But that's not what they can do and not what they can say. And it's not really what sports is about. Like, you try to fix it. Yeah. So, and we think on a barometer of a level that the Jags have good players. So they're good enough to win football games if you can play better. And so, the Jags have already said we're done talking. We're not talking. Not like they're not talking on the microphone, but they're not going to be like these rah-rah player-only meetings. Time to go do it. And I really agree with that. I think, like, you can't talk anymore. They've said what they need to say.
There's nothing to say.
Right?
Yeah.
And they've handled that part fine. They tried. It's not working. You can practice. I just don't believe you're going to fix anything in practice. Now, they believe that because you got to practice well. But the Jags have had plenty of good practices over the last 6-7 weeks. Mm-hmm. It's about Sundays. Like, you can't do anything until you play on Sunday. This is not a fixable problem until Sunday. That's the problem in Jacksonville right now. And then it's what do you fix? Because we sit there and talk about, okay, the quarterback, a little tight, a little rattled, a little missing plays. They're not running. Well, they run the football actually halfway decent, but they're out of game, so they can't run it the other night. Their offensive line is leaky as hell, and whose fault is it, and who's the biggest problem, and who can you replace? The tight end's out, your Pro Bowl tight end. Christian Kirk looks out of sorts at times. He's missing plays, although he got in some rhythm the other day. Trying to get Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. involved. All right. Well, defensively, now without Foye Oluokun, and Darnell Savage missed the last couple of games, and Tyson Campbell's out, and Jarian Jones might be out, and you've got some young players running around, and your defense is not getting enough push. Woo! What do you fix? Like, where do you start? That's going to be the problem with Doug right now. It's like, what hole do I need to plug the most to start feeling better, and then I'll go plug the next? Because in reality, I don't agree with Jay that they're going to lose by 35. I'm not saying it can't happen, but in reality, what is the real, like, what's the real chances that the Jaguars take all those problems that I just said and flip enough of them on its head to win a football game on Sunday? I would say pretty unrealistic.
Yeah, but this is the NFL. And, like, parity, man. Like, how many times I got to say this? Like, there's supposed to be close games. They're not supposed to be blowouts. We're not supposed to sit here and say, the Texans can win by 35. And I'm going to be honest, if it's more of the same, they could very well win by 35, I think. Because you have a Houston Texans team that's kind of got embarrassed in Minnesota that's a little pissed off now playing at home. Yeah. So, like, I don't want to play Houston right now. I would have rather had Houston go to Minnesota, blow out Sam Darnold, blow out the Minnesota Vikings, feel all cocky and be like, all right, now we got this Jaguars team who hasn't won a game yet. Yeah, and kind of overlook them. But nope, they got beat. They got embarrassed. Their offense was stagnant, and now they're coming back home to showcase what they got at their skill position. So, yeah, I'm nervous. It could be an ugly game. If you're asking what can you change, if you're Doug Peterson, and we keep saying you got to look yourself in the mirror, okay, coordinators, let's look ourselves in the mirror. Well, what can we change? Because who you have is who you have on the players right now. So you're not going to go to the waiver wire. You're not going to go to free agency and be like, all right, let's get this guy. No, who you have is who you have. And yes, injuries happen, and go ahead and make that an excuse if you want to make an excuse. But guess what? Every NFL team goes through injuries. So you ask yourself, what can you change? Well, right now you decided to change from last year having Press Taylor on the sidelines. And we talked about this to start out the week, Brent, on Monday. It's different. Having Press Taylor on the sidelines, calling plays, it appears. Then you have Doug Peterson kind of like checking through plays, maybe like okaying the plays. I don't know. But the chain of command is different. So you go from last season where it was a certain way, and Trevor, was playing at a pretty high level till we want to say he got hurt and everything, and that's fine. I'll go with you on that. This year, despite injury, whatever the case may be, there's really no excuses. All right? It was a bad showing from Trevor Lawrence last game. Go and take the EPA and put it, where the sun doesn't shine. I don't care about the EPA. So then you change that. You change the chain of command. You go back to the way it was last year, because right now what you want to do, the scheme that you're trying to run, the communication that you're trying to uphold is not working. So you change that. If you go on the defensive side of the ball, and I've been super adamant about this without the risk of repeating myself too much, You look at what you have right now and you say, we can't play man. So you play zone. You look at what Minnesota did, and keep in mind who we're talking about here. This is Brian Flores, who comes from New England, who I feel like New England more of any kind of coaching tree, the Bill Belichick coaching tree, I feel like they're kind of stuck in their ways a little bit, in terms of how they run things. It's kind of like their way or the highway.
Yeah.
It's a little more of an old school way of thinking. I mean, look what happened with Tua. You don't really see coaches calling out like quarterbacks like that anymore.
But they do change schemes defensively over the years.
Well,
They're one of the few teams that do it.
So they change schemes, but I think New England does a great job, at least when Belichick was there. He doesn't really change the scheme. He focuses on the game breakers.
Yeah.
Right? Like he takes away the best player on offense. Right? Now, I mean, did they do that against Houston? Maybe. But I do think that playing that quarters coverage and obviously getting home to C.J. Stroud, which is going to be a big thing too for this Jaguars defense, has to happen. So if I'm Ryan Nielsen, I'm going, okay, the experiment with Eric Armstead on the edge is done. You're a defensive tackle. You're a 3 technique. You're going to rush from the 3 technique. Trayvon Walker had 10 sacks last year. You're on the edge, okay? Josh Hines-Allen, you're on the edge. And then as far as the rookie development's concerned, whoever has earned their spot, put them in there. But, you can't keep having this rotation of, well, this guy had a good practice this week. Let's plug and play him. This guy kind of had a rough practice this week. Maybe he was late to meetings. All right, he's an act. No. Make it consistent. Let them know who their starters are, and let's go from there. And please, for the love of God, make the players, put them in positions to succeed.
Yeah, that's a topic we didn't talk about much Tuesday. I mentioned it, that everybody's talking about this rotation of players thing, and I wonder if they get to a little bit more normalized thing. Well, they're forced a little bit by injury, right? Because they don't have the depth that they had, but also just get comfortable out there and play the game and if you make a mistake, whatever. But let's not worry about being fresh, because here's the one thing. This goes for ETN too, or whoever else, how they ever want to handle their backs or whatever they were thinking in the grand scheme. Let's be fresh. I don't care about being fresh. This is a Super Bowl. Your season is over if you don't start winning. So we don't care about January right now and December and developing and next year. And by the way, these coaching staff should not really care about developing. Developing can't be top of mind. Winning has to be top of mind. So I'm not as crazy about a lot of the folks on the fan base about this rotation stuff, but it didn't work the other night, and it doesn't. The logic of it, where you've discussed many times, is okay. It's one thing to develop, but then you take guys out of rhythm and out of sync. And do you have your best players on the field? And I keep seeing these instances, at least on offense, where you've got Brenton Strange split out, or you've got Dearness Johnson in key situations. Those are not the guys that have had the most reps at practice. Even if you're working them in, they don't have the most reps in those spots. And if they're messing up, that's a practice problem. You're putting guys into situations they haven't been in very often. I'm assuming the same is happening on defense to some degree, or like your point about Eric Armstead, where is that really his best spot? So, this goes back to Miles Jack and Taven Bryan. Are you putting these guys into the best position that they are good at, whether they want to be there or not?
So I don't want to get this misconstrued. When we talk about rotating players, yes, rotate the defensive line. Get fresh bodies in there because you have to. And that's fine. I don't want to get that misconstrued. You have to rotate defensive linemen, and any good team that has depth does this.
Every team does it.
Any good defense does this. My point, though, is stop treating these games like they're preseason games, where all of a sudden one guy's up, one guy's down. Let's put this guy on defensive end and see what he can do. No, this is the regular season. You had the entire preseason to do that. So the preseason tells you, all right, this guy's going to be our starter. Okay, this guy's going to come in for depth purposes. That's what the preseason and training camp is for. But for whatever reason, we want to treat the regular season like it's preseason right now, and it makes zero sense to me.
Well, I think they started the game, Austin. The first play of the game, they had Ledbetter and Lacey in the game or something like that.
Exactly.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Right? Again, we're not talking about people who are tired at the moment. It just seems odd. So, it shows they're trying too hard in some respects. The coaching staff, this is. Yeah. And they've got to they just got to figure that defensive rotation stuff. I don't know where the percentages fall where they should be. They might be able to make it work in some respects. It's kind of like Nielsen today. I'm sure he's going to be asked about playing all the man, right? And I was thinking like, okay, what's his answer going to be? Like, what's he going to say about this? And we're going to be in the middle of our show when this happens. So,
don't worry. I'm sure the service is going to go out because of the hurricane, and they're not going to be able to ask him that question.
Well, but what he's going to say is like, I mean, we took what most people would say is you play man defense against Miami primarily, and you're screwed, right? Well, I mean, they did get screwed in a couple of plays, but I don't even think those plays were in the man. I think overall that worked out well. So what that does is give you confidence as a play caller, be like, hey, we can handle this.
Yes.
Right? And,
yes.
And then you play Cleveland, which I think is a little bit easier in that respect. Well, a lot of bit easier, quite frankly, on the offensive side. And so it's like, well, we're going to be who we are. We're going to be who we are. And look, it worked against Miami. It can work against any team in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. So I get that to a degree. But the dam broke the other day, and the percentages are there. There's analytics for a reason, and you have the proof in Minnesota. Yep. And what people are like, well, they don't practice zone enough, or they are who they are. It's like, wait a minute. Like, they're still playing like 70% man. They're playing zone in the game.
Correct.
It's not like they're not playing zone in the game.
No team's not going to have just one call, one coverage the entire game.
Yeah, so they know how. You opened my eyes to this the other day. We're like, well, you play zone in high school. Like, you know how to play zone.
Yeah.
And it's not like that complicated. But they actually play it in the game anyway. They're just not playing at a higher percentage. That's where all this man versus zone comes from. And I think people can misconstrue that as they always are in man. No, they're in man more than most teams in the NFL. That's why it's a headline story. That's why you're hearing that story. But I just don't know how you can look at Minnesota and say, okay, we got to change this thing a little bit. We got to change the percentages. We got to shift them. And by week to week, that will shift. By the next week against Indianapolis, against their receivers, maybe it makes sense to play man. Yeah. We're not afraid of them. Or maybe Anthony Richardson isn't going to beat us. Or maybe he will. I'm just using that as an example.
We have to, if you go in man, though, take into account
the running.
AR's legs, man. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how Nielsen talks about this and what their responses are. What got everybody's attention is Doug is going to change something this week. The changes are coming to some degree. He wasn't going to tell us, of course. Why would he tell us?
Yeah.
But I don't know what that means. I mean, but what are they changing? Like, what are they going to change on offense? They're not changing the quarterback. All right, that's a dumb storyline if anybody even had bought into it, but that's not happening.
See, I think Doug, because this has kind of been the label of him this season so far, is going to be very coy about how he's going to handle this, obviously. But I think, if he actually has the honest conversation with himself and actually takes himself, looks at himself in the mirror and, decides that, hey, I need to make a change, the change has to be the play calling in terms of the chain of command, I think. But
yeah, and I would sit here and say, and I've said this a couple of times, like, I actually think while this has been a hot button issue and while it's an underbelly issue here in Jacksonville and has been for more than a year, I actually believe at this point the play calling there are more problems than the play calling. Like, they can't get to the play calling part of the problem because they can't line up and block the play. So it's hard, or do the play right. Like, so it's like the play that Brenton Strange doesn't do his job on, it looks like, at least. That's a touchdown. It's a touchdown play, right? Yeah. So it's not a bad play. So it's hard to kill the play caller. But that being said, I think it's more about making a seismic shift. And it's more about breeding confidence. And I would say it that way. I think I already did this earlier in the week. You just say, listen, man, press is doing fine. But something's out of rhythm. And I didn't do this last night. I was going to go do it, and maybe I'll do it in the break. I'm telling you, Doug Peterson said this in 2022 on February 4th when he got the job. I'm going to call plays, but if I don't feel like I'm doing a good job, I'm not afraid to hand it off. Like, that's the way that thing works. And, well, Doug, you haven't scored 21 points or more than once in the last 7 games. It's not working. Like, when do you pull it back? If you gave it away, when do you take it back because it's not working? And so is that the move that breeds a little confidence, that says, hey, we shifted something. We're going to get something going. You're going to hear a different voice. It's a very simple move, Doug.
I know.
It's a very simple move. And that's the move to me that is the most logical, because you only have so many position players. You can't just say, Cooper Hodges, go play for Brandon Sheriff, and, okay, we're going to mess around the line. That doesn't really make sense because you kind of want to build continuity and see if they can figure it out. You're not going to bench Christian Kirk or you're not going to go to Luke Farrell in the slot. You're not doing those kind of things. This is an easy move, and one that makes actual sense to get back to where you were in 22 when this thing was cooking.
Yeah, but I just feel like if he does this, it's going to be very quiet, and I don't see him doing. Like, I don't think.
Oh, we're not going to know.
Yeah, but that's the point. Like,
but
this is the point of the press conference, though. Is like, and I understand. Like, the last thing you should be caring about is what the fans think or what the media thinks, right? Like, you focus on your team, you focus on the guys in that locker room. But there has to come a point where you have to have a vote of confidence in you. And right now, I think the narrative around this city is that there's zero confidence in Doug Peterson. And if that's the case, and you're trying to get on somebody's good side again, then yes, a drastic change must be made. And I just think that the way that he's handled this entire play calling thing, and I hate that we're in week 4 now and we're still talking about the same thing that we talked about during the combine, Brent, but here we are again. I hate the fact of how he's handled the entire situation, how he acted like he was coy about it, how he acted like he knew, something that nobody else knew and everything was going to be okay. And we're literally going into the 4th game of the season, and it spiraled out of control. You couldn't even make it through halfway of the year. You couldn't even make it to, the 10th, 11th game. You couldn't even make it to, are we going to the playoffs or not? It had to be in the 4th game of the season we're talking about this. And now I felt like, the way that he's handled it, you can't go back. Like, you just can't say, yeah, you know what? I was wrong. I think I'm going to call the play. No, he ain't going to do that. I don't think he's wired like that. I don't think any coach is really wired like that. I think there's an ego that goes into play there. So maybe he does make a change, and maybe that change will be, behind closed doors, and maybe we'll notice on the sidelines. Maybe Press Taylor's going to be back in the press box, whatever the case may be. But I don't think he's going to make it known. He's not going to be banging on the bells and whistles saying, hey, guys, this is what we're doing, even though that's probably what you should do in a press conference.
Do you think in a game, you guys watch the game a little bit different than me sometimes. I mean, especially the road games. Like, it looks like both are involved in the play calling when you watch them on the sidelines, doesn't
Correct.
it? And I say the same thing when I'm down there on the sidelines. It's a little different view from the press box. I don't have as good a look at it. But Doug's got the play sheet, right? People call it like his Waffle House menu,
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got that. And Press Bud is obviously the guy on the headset. So will we know that change takes place? Or both guys going to look similar anyway. And the reason why I say it is we never knew that Press Taylor apparently, I'm not sure if he was, but calling plays in the second half of games at times in 2022. We wish it wasn't a story, so we didn't look at it. We just assumed Doug with that, glasses down and everything was the guy. Will we notice it, that he's more involved? Will we notice that he's the guy actually calling plays? And I agree with you, by the way. I don't think it will be an announcement. I don't think it's going to be said, but I do think if we notice that, then it becomes more of a question after the game, right? Post-game in Houston, then you're like, okay, it looked like you were calling plays, Doug. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if he was calling some plays the other day. I can't tell. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
We're just guessing. And so for him to keep it quiet, he can.
Yeah.
But, so he might continue to keep it quiet. Because I don't think he wants to throw anybody under the bus. And again, I'm still coming with you here. I can be Press Taylor's agent. This is not a Press Taylor problem. This is a Doug Peterson problem. I was with some kids yesterday, and they're like, Press Taylor. I'm like, guys, stop getting mad at Press Taylor. If you're getting mad at Press Taylor, get mad at Doug Peterson. It's a Doug Peterson problem, even if you think it's a Press Taylor problem. It's all on Doug Peterson.
Correct.
He has made this decision. He is the one that has the veto power. This is your angst on play calling should not be on Press. It should be on Doug.
I agree with that. I'm upset with the whole friendship. Because this to me is what the story is. It's a relationship. It's trying to put somebody on a pedestal. And I hate to tell you, if you're not going to score over 20 points a game, Doug, I don't think you're going to have a job. I don't think Press Taylor's going to have a coordinator job either. No. I feel like you're shooting both yourselves in the foot right now with what's going on.
It does appear like it. Does appear. Most people now think that the Jags offense has been figured out.
Can we just,
Doug's offense has been
do we bring back the T-shirts? Can we just ask Trevor Lawrence what he wants? Because I'll be honest, I'm really questioning now, looking back on these past 3 weeks and how this offense has looked and everything. We're under the impression, at least I was under the impression, that they kind of confided in Trevor a little bit to say, hey, man, what are you feeling? You like Press? Because Trevor was a very big advocate of Press Taylor, in the headset. He said he feels comfortable with that. And then week 2 comes around, and he kind of calls out the coaches a little bit. Trevor Lawrence does, which is unheard of from Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
We're kind of seeing a shift in attitude, a shift in mindset now at these press conferences. And I get it. Like, losing does that to you, but it's kind of uncharacteristic of Trevor. So the fact that he feels like the need to say, hey, yeah, coaches got to coach better as well. Something that we never heard before, and there's been a lot of losing around here, but we never heard it from Trevor Lawrence, leads me to believe that he doesn't really have a say in what's going on right now. He's just kind of at the mercy of what Doug Peterson and Press Taylor want to do.
Yeah, and I watched that. Again, we were at the stadium for 2 hours after the game. Like, there was a lot of standing around in Buffalo because of the plane situation. And, I mean, a lot of the guys were inside the locker room. So I have no idea what kind of conversations were going in there after our post-game stuff. So I don't – but I do know, like, Press Taylor, I saw him walking around a little bit. And then Trevor and him were spending a lot of time together, like, before loading up the bus. So they have those, like, there's no, like, discourse there. I think it's pretty clear to me there's no discourse. There's no Trevor said it again yesterday, like, and Doug said it. It's like, if anything, this kind of stuff has brought us together. Now, and I don't think, like, Trevor's not a good liar, like, at news conferences either. Like, he's not going to give you everything.
No,
but he's not trying to, like, I'm not calling Doug a liar, but he can be more coy than Trevor's going to be at this stage, right? He's been doing it for 20-something years.
Yeah.
You can be more coy with the media than I just think Trevor. So I just don't think there's anything there in terms of like the Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson stuff. I don't think it's there. But I do totally agree with what Chad just said, and I've said this a couple of times. If you're going to have Press do it, just stay out of the way. Mm-hmm. Just stay out of the way. Get rid of the play calling sheet and just put the headset on. Honestly, I think he should do that. I think that's a mistake on his part. Or if you're going to take it, take it. Like, the in-between stuff, to me, doesn't work. I don't know if it sends the right message. It feels clunky. Your offense is clunky. And even if you don't think that's part of the problem, it's a great representation of the problem. It seems like a clunky system, and your offense is clunky. Yeah. Like, that's it. Make it smoother. Let one guy do it. And get rid of the menu or take the menu and the headset. Like, one of the two. That's it. This is not very difficult, in my opinion.
Let me ask you this, because this is going back to Trevor Lawrence. Say what you want about Carson Wentz now. Obviously, he's an afterthought when we talk about decent quarterback, because he's a backup and will probably always be a backup until maybe he gets thrust into a starting role someplace else in an emergency situation. But there was a time where Carson Wentz was considered an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
And that 2017 season, while Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, it was kind of paved with Carson Wentz's playing ability to get him to that point in the first place. And then you see the regression of Carson Wentz. And it's almost like, think about this. You had a guy who was this close. Probably if he didn't get hurt, would have won the MVP.
Oh, yeah. He's on his way.
And now he's a trivia question. He's an afterthought.
Yeah.
He's a backup quarterback. Does it make you nervous to watch the downfall of Carson Wentz? And are you afraid to see the same story with Trevor Lawrence?
Let's do this. Hit a break. That's a deeper question that will get us like way behind. I like the question, though, and I've seen some of this stuff out there.
Dang it. I thought I had something original.
No. It's a good thought. It's
okay.
not. I'm just saying I've seen it in the past of Doug.
Oh,
like
okay.
There's some stuff floating around about Doug ruining Carson Wentz and everything else, and I think it's a fair question, and it's an important question. It's the same kind of questions that marry together with hiring Urban Meyer or potentially looking down the road and getting a Bill Belichick. I mean, this is all about number 16. The whole city, the franchise, the ownership, the locker room. We all know it. Everybody knows it's about 16, and so it's a fair question. Like, where's this on the path to if it doesn't change in a hurry? And is this going to be part of Doug's legacy again? And more than maybe even a Lombardi trophy. We'll talk about it when we come back. Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Yeah, we're hanging in there in the Hurricane Helene coverage and impact.
Look
we'll
at
see
those
what happens tonight.
Cumulonimbus clouds moving in there, Brent.
Very good. That's science, Ronan.
Oh,
science.
He understands it. He knows.
We'll be back.
That comfort on a daily basis. But if you were going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine. Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC. We are professional grade. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder grade materials. And there's more, and for that we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoldCityAC.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Welcome back to the Brent Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
welcome back. Don't forget all the First Alert Hurricane Helene coverage on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action News Jax app, First Alert weather app. Also, if you go to the Action News Jax app and actionnewsjax.com, then you can also click on over to us, so you can get a little bit of both. If that's where you're hanging out, you go peek in on the weather, you peek in on us, you bounce back and forth a little bit, and you're on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, just like that. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz, like the gang back together today.
Man.
Kurt's going to talk or what? Or
Boys
is
are
he just
back in
sleeping
town.
in there?
Yeah, I'm like, did you put him on timeout? Did you put him on that
He
Sam
doesn't- he don't
Darnold
like,
timeout?
Like when we have this, he don't like to talk. If he doesn't sit in here, he doesn't want to talk.
I hear you.
I don't know if it's like a territorial thing or what.
I mean, that's
Also, he's in the dark over there because like he's the guy that showers in the dark.
Well, I also do a show with him on Wednesday evenings, the Scrap House, and yes, he is always in the dark. I'm in 4K and he's in dial-up.
Yeah, and I know. By the way, it's weird that I know that he showers in the dark, but
Yeah, dude, it's like you're there.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even. We just kind of bypassed that. I just kind of.
He said
didn't
it
even notice
before,
that. Okay.
Like
yeah.
This goes way back.
Casey, like, are we talking like prison rules, like pitch black, or do you have like some kind of light?
It's pretty dark, dog. But like if I shower during the day, like then there's light coming through the window.
Yeah.
But if it's at night or like early morning, like it's toast. I'm running into the wall and stuff. It's just
All right, so are you saying this because like in the morning you're tired, you don't want to turn on the lights and kind
that's
of
how
like
it started.
Yeah, and then at night you kind of want to wind down a little bit,
Yeah.
so don't want that. Okay.
And I was like, this is a thing. Actually, I'm in the dark now because I got a bone to pick with you, Brent.
Let's
Here we
go.
So
Go.
so here's the thing.
Here we go.
Ron's, get out the popcorn, Ronan.
I probably shouldn't be here, right? There's a lot of people that work here. I'm not one of them. But Brent
Appreciate
says
you being here though.
Brent says, "Hey, it's wall to wall coverage. It's a debacle. I mean, I need you to come in. It's an emergency." I get here, I'm like, cool, and I see JoJo Siwa playing Pictionary with Jerry O'Connell on Fox 30. That ain't wall to wall, dog. There's got to be a bunch of people here that could be doing what I'm doing, but I'm sitting here playing golf club while you guys are talking about the Jags.
Big time ratings with that Pictionary show, Brent. They're playing it. I mean, at the gym that I go to sometimes,
Is that
they're
what
always
we
playing
run?
that. I guess so.
Wall to wall. Give me a break.
Listen, it's not me. It says wall to wall. I mean, I got Stuart doing a 4 a.m. shift tomorrow. I got Hamby out. I got Nick pushing buttons in there just in case. Like,
But what is Stuart
just in
doing?
case.
I'm confused. Like, what is Stuart's job then? So he has to like go live like at Jack's Beach
He's
to
actually
report the
going to,
waves.
Like I think our plan is that depending on how bad the storm is, like we could anchor our morning anchors.
Okay.
Could go out and field anchor.
Okay.
Which then we would need an extra body, like not normal, like to have that staff.
Do you get hazard pay for that or not?
No.
Oh.
I almost did it.
I was getting ready to sign up.
I was lucky Stewart jumped in. They needed some help. Marcel didn't want to do it. Stewart was like, I know Stewart doesn't want to do it, but I really think Stewart got smart. And he was like, well, we're not going to have the Friday night blitz. So if I do this, I can get off Friday night.
Oh.
Wait, we're not doing the show on Friday?
I hadn't told you that yet, but no, we're not.
Hey, dude, tell
There we go.
somebody.
Email, huh?
We just determined.
It didn't sound like it because Stewart knows.
This is this has been known since like Tuesday.
I got it. No, it hasn't.
We were texting at 10 p.m. I was here at 10 a.m.
I
You
know.
knew sometime in there. Maybe throw that in.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
But anyway,
Jags suck.
so
It's raining.
I think
We get it.
so. Anyway, that's we're all out of sorts for the scheduling. But
Sure.
it's all, everything's just with these storms is just in case. It's a just in case, Casey.
Yeah.
But we're fortunate enough to have Casey in.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, Ronan School said forget the reading comprehension today. We might have a couple sprinkles coming down. So
Yeah. We got Ronan. Ronan's listening in.
yeah.
We can get him in the show a little bit later.
Yeah,
see
we'll
if he has
see.
complain about the Jags as well, or if we just got other things we can worry about like recess.
Well, I mean, what do you want to hear? You have to run the football and you have to win in the trenches. That's all he's going to say.
all he-
Okay,
He's-
I've taught him
he's a
very
believer.
well.
You've brainwashed him.
I've brainwashed him a little bit, and we're still on the girlfriend thing a little bit.
Oh.
And we had Travis Kelce as an example where you start getting locked up with that girlfriend. You see how Travis Kelce's playing, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Now
He's
blushing.
like, yeah.
Now he's blushing.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Hey, listen. I mean, do you want to be great or not?
Yep.
If you want to be great, you got to be selfish.
Yep.
We don't have time for girlfriends.
Yep.
If we're trying to be great.
Exactly. I'm about to be a UFC champion, Brent. Just wait. 2 belts.
All right.
I'm going to 205 and heavyweight.
I felt like
that
that was
be
a,
something?
I felt like that was a,
Wouldn't
Just everything.
that would be the ultimate litmus test.
Yeah, that would prove my theory.
Do you remember the whole thing with like Sean? What was it? No, it was Gene Smith, right? Like players got to get married.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the opposite. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a believer in the opposite.
What do you want? You want Hall of Famers? You want Pro Bowlers? You want Super Bowl? You want Lombardi trophies? Single. Let's go.
I felt like we were just in like a Disney movie right there, watching with kids. There was just innuendo stuff.
Yeah.
Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz, and you asked a question before we went to break, and I didn't forget, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Nice.
The Carson Wentz experiment, again, MVP, and then really what I think you got to throw in here is the Nick Foles stuff too, like getting him to play the best football. I mean, Chip Kelly got him to play good football too for a bit, but I mean, we're talking Super Bowl level football for Nick Foles. Nick Foles never played like that again. Carson Wentz never played like that again. Now, there are some factors here. First of all, the Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson relationship splintered. And that was, it seemed like everything splintered in Philly. And Doug, again, everybody assumes it's Press Taylor, but there was obviously splintering going on in belief of who they should be getting with Howie Roseman and the GM and maybe even ownership, because there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen in that place, right, when it comes to all that. And then obviously the Carson Wentz situation and who you should play and when you should move on. But injuries also have factored in. Let's not lose that part. When guys get hurt sometimes, they don't always come back. I mean, Deshaun Watson, he actually did get hurt, but then he had his situation. He hasn't come back. Yeah. Like he's never been his same self, and I don't think he will be. We wonder if Tua will ever be himself coming back from injury. And these injuries are different. Not everything's alike. But this is not all guys come back from injury.
True. But keep in mind, this is also the guy in Doug Peterson who benched Jalen Hurts.
He did. I do think that situation, and I'd have to really go back and read up on it. I do think that was a little bit more, it felt a little more isolated.
No, I mean, I understand. Nate Sudfeld was playing at a very high level.
Okay.
No. I understand. You have to see what Nate Sudfeld can do for the franchise.
Okay, but what's your view of the Jalen Hurts thing? Was that him? Was that Doug flipping the bird at the organization a little bit?
I think it was a little bit.
Wentz, they brought Minshew in too. We didn't know even the next year if Wentz was going to be the guy. Let's just be honest about that. It took another half year to figure out. Oh, wait a minute, this guy's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was kind of Doug Peterson taking it upon himself to do things his way. But, I mean, they can say that they mutually parted, but I feel like he lost the locker room when he decided to do that, when he decided to bench Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. So, but this is really more of a Wentz question, right? He developed Wentz, or he looked like he was developing Wentz.
See, to me, Brent, it's a Wentz conversation, but it's also just how do you handle quarterbacks in general conversation, I think.
Yeah, I think there's two things. It's one, it's a relationship thing. And then it's also an ego against the organization thing. So it's really three things that happened in Philly. But then there's the actual, he got the best play out of Carson Wentz and Nick Foles that ever existed.
Correct.
And then it never happened again. Is that lack of develop? I think it's being twisted a little bit post-Philly. Or maybe not twisted, but I think the storyline is not that. The storyline is, well, he ruined Carson Wentz. Mm-hmm. He never played well again. But I don't really feel that way from the outside looking in. I feel like he played his best football. You got him to play the best football. You got the best football to Nick Foles. Those are two examples on the same team that the best football came with this coach. Now, it's a short sample because the relationship couldn't go on, and actually the continued play didn't get increasingly better and better and better for years and years to come. It didn't turn into Brady and Belichick. It didn't turn into Mahomes and Reed.
It was a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
And once again, if I'm letting the past be prologue here, I'm asking the question, did we see the flash in the pan already back in 2022?
Yeah.
Like, was that it? That was the Doug Peterson window? It's all downhill from here?
Well, what do you think?
I mean, I think there is something to be said for the history of how the quarterbacks have panned out. Now, did he get the best out of Carson Wentz? Yeah, possibly. Had him as an MVP candidate. And then the injury happens, and maybe Carson Wentz is never the same. But once again, I go back, I think more importantly, to the Jalen Hurts situation. And I get, we don't know, it was so long ago, so it's hard to kind of take ourselves back there. But I do remember that sideline because I think Hurts had a couple touchdowns that game. And, he was actually playing pretty well. and then Doug took him out, and I believe there was like, I don't want to say there's any fighting on the sidelines, but there was like a locker room discrepancy of players getting upset because Hurts got taken out. Because they felt like they were just trying to milk in the season then. Like they just kind of quit.
Yeah,
and, players are very prideful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and that was a big topic.
Yeah. So I think it comes down more towards, is it the quarterback development? Possibly, but is it an ego thing where you feel like it's your way or the highway, and even when it's not working, you still stay by your guns? Like, I think he doesn't – maybe it's more of like you don't want to adapt.
Yeah, I wonder that. I do wonder
because that's what's happening right now.
Well,
there's no.
I came into the season though thinking they had adapted a little bit. They were going to change some things. They were going to go under center a little bit more. They were going to try to run the ball even more.
Brent,
like
they adapted. They evolved, but backwards. It's like having a great Pokemon and you got him back down to the starter set. You went from Charizard and now we're at, what is it? Charmander. You went from Charizard and now we're going back to Charmander. That's where we are right now. We are the Jacksonville Charmanders.
That just went over my head.
You're all good, man. Ronan loved it.
Ronan, you good?
Hey, Brent, all the kids home from school today that are tuning into the Brent Austen Show, going crazy.
That's right. Get off Nickelodeon.
My followers are going up by the hundreds right now on Twitter.
I don't know where to fall on this, man. Like I do think Doug has ego, but I've always kind of praised the ego part, the bravado part. Now that does have a negative side of it. I do think we're starting to see some. You can make the case, and I'm not suggesting that it does fully exist, but I think you can make the case that sustainability is the word that comes to mind. Can you sustain an arranged marriage in your GM-coach relationship? Mm-hmm. The probable answer to that is no, especially through this kind of adversity. There's got to be some stuff that's going to bubble. That's just the way the buildings work.
Yeah.
But then the bigger question is, can Doug sustain anything as a head coach? It's still a smaller sample. He was able to go to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. He was able to go back to the playoffs the next year, both with late season runs, both very well done jobs. I mean, really good, really good. Mm-hmm. But to your point, it's a small sample. The Jags did it. Wow, out of the blue. Come back, go to the playoffs. 8-3. Boom, that's it. Are we going to look back at the Doug era and say the same thing? He just couldn't sustain it. And he can't sustain the development of the quarterback. Yeah. Because, again, he's developed quarterbacks and been around good quarterbacks as a backup and as assistant coach and as an OC. But he hasn't really done this for a sustained amount of time with any one quarterback in Philly because we know the whole situation. And right now, this is not trending in a good way with Trevor. And what I want to be careful of here is I'm not giving up on Trevor. I don't think Trevor's like in the tank and done. I think Trevor's got plenty of good football. I think the question you ask is Doug going to get the best football out of him on the path that they're on right now?
Because that's what he was. I mean, that's why Doug was brought here in the first place.
That's why we love the idea of Doug,
yes.
Right? I mean, the history said, and I did. I'm not going to be hypocritical here. I'm still a believer in Doug. Like, I haven't got off the Doug train. That's why I'm having a hard time a little bit with this conversation. I'm not there yet. I still will side with the coaches at times that there's a lot of stuff going on that should be player responsible. That to me, I would put on player more than coach. You even said it on Tuesday. You're starting to lean a little bit more like players. I know you're critical of the coaching, but the players have got to do some of these things that are elementary, that are day one stuff.
Correct.
To make their coaches look a little bit better.
That is correct. Yeah.
So I'm still a little torn there while everybody else is already on fire, Doug. Get them out. Boom. Break. Move on. I'm not there yet, and maybe we'll be there at some point. But I do think these are fair questions to wonder about Doug. You could have wondered this in year one about Doug. You could have wondered it last year about Doug. Mm-hmm. We don't have a lot of history. The one thing that's interesting about Doug, every time I talk about something like, I was looking up a stat the other day, has he ever started 0-3? And the answer was no. And so you go back and it's like, well, I don't have to go back too deep. For a guy who's got a Lombardi trophy, his coaching tenure as a head coach in the National Football League is very short. It's 7 years. Yeah. That's it. Like, that is a short window of time for a guy holding a Lombardi. Like, now we're talking about McCarthy, right, who's been in the league for 17 years. If we were doing this with McCarthy, we'd have examples of, okay, what happened in Green Bay, what's happening in Dallas. Like, these are long. John Harbaugh, right? Lombardi, and 17, 18 years. This is not it for Doug. Doug's an interesting character in that sense that he's only been a head coach for now 7 years and 3 games.
I mean, it is kind of unique to the fact that 2 coaches on the hot seat right now are 2 former Super Bowl winners in Mike McCarthy and Doug Peterson. But to me, the difference is that McCarthy, wherever he's been, has got really great quarterback play. You know, like when you look back at McCarthy's career in Green Bay, and I think even in Dallas as well.
Yeah,
like,
Dak's put up unbelievable numbers.
You're not saying, man, it was the offense, it was the quarterback. Now, like, yeah, Dak has to win the big one. We always talk about that. But, you know, I don't think it was in totality the quarterback play. I think with Doug Peterson, yeah, you were able to elevate Nick Foles and do the impossible. But like I said, then you had Jalen Hurts, that didn't go so well. And now you have Trevor Lawrence, and it's not going so well. So, like, 2 good resumes of winning a Super Bowl, but 2 different ways of going about it, I feel like.
Yeah, and it might not end well for either one. As Mr. Pico says, Barry Switzer won a Lombardi Trophy too. I get it. Yeah. But he was also not like a QB whisperer guy, right? He was not the offensive guy. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm going to stay stubborn on this front in a little bit, and I'm not giving up on the Doug thing. But I think he has a fix in his back pocket that he better use soon. And that is just take this thing back over.
Brent's got to see the EPA drop down to -20 for him to actually start coming on board and say we have an issue here. That's cool.
I don't know about -20. Mr. Pico says it was also the Charmen. It was always the Charmen. Sorry.
Charmen.
Is that what you just said?
Oh, is that Pokemon? No, Charizard and Charmander.
Charmander.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, Charmander. I mean, Casey, because Brent has no idea what I'm talking about. You imagine, man, like, you know, you're Ash, you got your Pokeball, man. You're like, Charizard, I choose you. And then he comes out, and it's like, it's little Charmander. Like, dude, what happens? Like, hey, sorry, man.
Hey.
This is what happens when this is what happens when the ego gets involved a little bit. I de-evolved. My bad. 0-3.
Bro,
sorry.
Disappointed when he went into the trainer battle going up against the Rock Pokemon, and he got the baby Charizard. That would have been a debacle. He would have quit Pokemon.
I mean, that's where we're at right now.
I feel on a totally different spectrum that I'm in like an operating room right now. When doctors talking.
Now you know how I feel when I talk about golf and baseball sometimes with you guys.
How you not know anything about Pokemon?
And I love baseball.
Do people still play Pokemon like
it's
one that they were playing
I can't
all the time
explain to you how huge Pokemon is.
Brent.
Well, I know you do explain to me with the cards and the stuff like at times, but I was saying like the phone thing where people were walking into cars and stuff.
Pokemon Go?
Pokemon Go.
Yeah, is that still a thing?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
I don't think it's as big, but I still see people going.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Brent is still lost.
Ah,
I am lost.
sorry,
You're right.
man.
I had no idea what was said there.
Yeah,
That's fine.
it's all right.
So let's do this and collect ourselves and take
wild.
a break.
Dude, it is kind of wild, but you have no idea about Pokemon.
Charizard is the Pokemon. You've never heard of Charizard? He's
Like,
the guy.
These cards, Brent, they're
literally
worth
him.
Thousands, yeah.
His first edition holo is like $1 million card.
You could play a game right now and list off however many names are in Pokemon.
Yep.
And then you could list off other names.
Pikachu doesn't do anything. You've heard of Pikachu.
I have heard.
Welcome. All right, Brent. We got one now.
Got
Okay.
one.
All right,
I don't
we
know
got
if
one.
there's 2.
About it, huh? Yeah.
I don't know if there's 2.
Yep.
Pikachu. Yeah.
Hey, everybody in the chat, be sure to put your favorite Pokemon down so we can
please
talk
do
about that when we come back after the break.
We also might visit with Jason Fitz when we come back. We'll see what they're saying outside of Jacksonville. I don't think it's very good. Also, a little bit around the NFL, too. After the game today at 2 o'clock on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, we actually got a couple new episodes that will debut next week as well. So if you miss any of them, you can go to YouTube, our Action Sports Jacks playlist, but you can always catch it on the network. Fun shows. Casey loved the recordings of the shows. I can't wait to listen to the 2 that we have coming up over the next couple of weeks on After the Game, presented by Baker Sports and High School 912. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Right now, get 10% off any residential job of $500 or more. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
At Southampton, local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Springs, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Well, there's the latest from the First Alert Weather Team. Tornado watch in the area until 10 o'clock. So that means, as you can see, or if you're not seeing, conditions favorable for waterspouts and tornadoes. I think that's going to be the biggest impact we get from Hurricane Helene. Now, if you're over there in Tallahassee, it's a totally different story. So It's a big one coming fast, and then all the way up through like Atlanta, though now it's shifted a bit east, I think is the word that it could. So Atlanta might be saved, and that would go like Athens into Augusta. A lot of trees in that area, right? So it's a weird storm because it's going to impact all the way up into North Georgia and South Carolina, and just makes it a little bit different. I think I was talking to Mike Burrish yesterday, a little bit like Hurricane Michael did the same thing. And the part about Tallahassee and everywhere else is there's so many trees, which means power could be out for like days and days with that, along with some water. Burrish actually said the storm surge potentially could get to I-10. And I was like, how far is that? And he's like, well, about 20 miles. So think about that. Like you could get storm surge 20 miles in. That'd be like if you live in, I said it to our Steph yesterday, I was like, that'd be like coming off the Atlantic. We would get it from where we live.
Yeah.
That's like 20 miles in. That seems like a long way.
No, for sure.
Or from Jack's Beach right here to the station.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it'd be even further, right? I mean, how many miles is Jack's Beach to the station?
No, it's like maybe like 8 miles, I feel like, if that even.
So, I mean, it'd be almost to the stadium.
Correct. Wild.
Yeah, I might have misheard that it was 20 miles. Because that seems unlikely.
Bring in, we got to bring Mike, man. Ask him.
I know.
I'm sure he's kind of busy, though.
Yeah, he is, but I think we might get him on a little bit. Let's bring in Jason Fitz. I don't know if he does weather. He sings. He plays the fiddle. He talks sports.
He does it all.
And I don't think they have this problem in Connecticut right now. Do you, Jason?
No, we don't, but I got a lot of friends in Nashville and a buddy of mine actually that works down in the Tampa area that's going to be covering the storm. So I hope you guys stay safe, number one. Number two, at least there is some comfort I take that you guys are used to it. So you've got the drill down. Like I feel like every region has the one weather thing they're used to. Like you live in Connecticut long enough, you're used to snow. You understand how to deal with snow. You live in Nashville, actually, where I lived for 20 plus years. You become used to wild flooding. Like it's just a part of the city. Like
bachelorette parties too.
It floods. Like so. Yeah, I don't know if you ever get used to those. Like
probably not. Yeah, you're right, man. Sorry.
You can't even drive up and down the street like those stupid. Like I don't understand why you want to sit on one of those things where you got to bike it yourself while you're going around and everybody's drinking. I'm like, if you just walked up to somebody and said, "Do you guys want to ride bikes for the next 5 miles while getting drunk?" Most people would say no. But all of a sudden, you put a bunch of bachelorettes on one of those where there's a DJ and they're all peddling a pedal tavern. The dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It's the dumbest because like you're literally burning off the alcohol, so you have no buzz. So you drink for like 5 hours, and it's like, okay, well, I'm still just clean minded. Let's go someplace else. I guess
it's really a great point.
People don't like to pay you. Like I'm gonna do the work. I'm gonna pay an overpriced amount for the beer. And then I'm going to shut down traffic the entire time I do it. And you want me to pay for this service?
What a business model, Brent.
It's very illogical to your point. And in a world where nobody likes to work anymore anyway, it's amazing that you work like that.
Yeah, you're not lying.
So, good point. You come from the land of bachelorette parties, don't you? Vegas and Nashville. I think we just lost.
I think we lost Fitz. Yeah,
we lost Fitz. See if you didn't hit mute on your phone or your computer or something. But we had you, and then we lost you. Didn't hit anything. There's a ghost in your basement.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what happened. Casey will try
to come back to him.
We're hearing you. We're hearing you a little sketchy as well, but we got you, and then we lost you. So maybe just and if Fitz can still hear me, that sometimes the easiest way to do it is just get out and go back in on that link that I sent you. And then it maybe will clean itself out. So it is pretty wild. He does grow. You said bachelorette parties. You were making observations in Vegas.
Yes,
that's where he's from.
Yes,
and stayed in Nashville. I wonder what other goofy things are like that. Like how you can make a living off somebody else's work.
I love that, man. That's a good call.
Because those things do go. Like I've never wanted to go on one of those, but the partying. I mean, you can get in a van and go up and down the street, too, and you don't have to pedal.
Or just go sit in the bar like a normal person. Just sit and relax. You're on vacation. I'm with you. Like, it's a genius business model. It really is. Because imagine, like, being the person that owns it. You just got to, like, stand. Well, you got to stand there or, like, sit there, I guess, and, like, have to deal with. Well, actually, yeah, because someone's got to steer it.
Yeah, somebody's in there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Somebody's. And probably serving.
No, for sure.
It's a two-man operation.
Yep.
Genius idea.
I mean, can we get like a party boat, Brent? But we have to make him like row.
We could.
You know what I'm
hard to
saying?
drink, I guess, while you're rowing.
I mean, you have one arm doing the rowing, one arm doing the drinking.
Yeah, I guess.
I think we have some. All right, let's go to Shark Tank. Hello, Sharks.
It's sponsored by Orange Theory.
Hey there, Sharks. Brent Martineau and Austin Lane here. We have an investment for you guys if you're interested. Party rowing, huh?
It'd be great to pitch Shark Tank.
I love it,
so
man.
good. I'm a little surprised.
It's a no for me, dog.
You know what?
It's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for me, dog.
He's back.
I figure Fitz is a guy that probably has come up with some things that you could pitch to Shark Tank. Like, that seems like something you'd want to do.
No, so look, I want to be on the show, but I don't have the money to be on the show. But like, look, I think I've learned. I do think that there is something about business because, like, look, you don't make it in any career without some concept of a business plan. I don't care if we're talking about media or if we're talking about fighting, right, or football. Got to have a business plan. Got to understand what you're doing. I do think there is some learning you can do from Shark Tank in general when you just watch it and see the way they approach business and sort of some of the things you have to learn. I think Shark Tank's helped a lot of young people sort of figure out life in some ways. That's deep. And, Mark Cuban called me for that endorsement. But, hey, I'm a big believer in Shark Tank. Yeah.
I'm telling you, if there's nothing, when I'm on the road, I watch like episode after episode of Shark Tank.
Oh,
if
it's
there's nothing
addicting.
going on in the hotel TV. Like that's if there's not a good game. Like I will just watch it. And but the best part about watching Shark Tank now is that they're all old episodes, so you can see how they did. You go Google like what they did and how they did and if it worked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, most of the time they work out pretty well. They got pretty good endorsement behind with those guys. All right, Jason Fitz, what's not working out well is here in Jacksonville. And I mean, we're already on to Bill Belichick watch apparently. Fired Doug Peterson. You know how that ramps up around the NFL and the sports world so quickly. I'm not there yet. I think it's way too early for that. Shad Khan, the owner, is not a guy that fires people early in seasons anyway, so I think it's a little goofy even to go there. But more it's about how they fix it, and they've got time, but they're running out. They have the division that starts this week with Houston, then they get the Colts after that. But Fitz, they got to plug so many holes, and what we saw Monday night and what you saw Monday night, I'm not sure you can plug that many holes in 1 week.
I'm not sure you can plug that many holes in one season. Like what we learned Monday night is that this Jags team is not amongst the upper echelon. Like instead of sitting here saying this is the 8th best quarterback or the 8th best team, I hate doing that. But what I do like is I like to relate it to alcohol, right? Like, so if you walk in, you're like, I want top shelf, I want well, and then there's everything else in between. So if you're walking into a bar and you're ordering vodka, what we learned through this process is that, like, let's be honest, the Jags not only are they not Grey Goose or Belvedere, they ain't even Tito's, right? Like,
we're Boone's Farm, Jason. We're Boone's Farm,
I mean,
man. Don't even put us in the liquor category.
It's all right, I'll have a vodka soda, and then they give you the brand, and you're like, Splash of Cran. Just add a splash. Like, give me something to get through it. Like, they are now Splash of Cran. Like, this is a team that is going to – they look like, based on what we saw against a truly great team in the AFC, they look like a team that's going to struggle to try and find their way into the playoff conversation. And that's when you have a quarterback that makes what Trevor Lawrence makes, that's going to get people fired. Like, that's just the reality, right or wrong. If you've got a quarterback making $50+ million a year and you're struggling to make the playoffs, people are going to get fired eventually.
Jason, I spoke on Antonio Pierce last time we talked to you, and I'm sorry, I felt like I kind of jinxed your team a little bit as the Fighting Andy Daltons came into Las Vegas and kind of embarrassed you guys a little bit. But I do like the response to that loss because it was an embarrassing loss, for the Raiders, and I like how Pierce kind of held his guys accountable, it seemed like, right? And I think at least according to interviews, players are kind of responding well to that. In Jacksonville right now, you have one of the worst embarrassing losses in Jaguars history. You go to the press conference after the game, and all the narrative is we have to look ourselves in the mirror, and I'm not sure what's going on. Like, that was it. There was, no vote of confidence. There was no fire. It was just confusion. Does that say something? Like, do you take one coach with Antonio Pierce who just seemed pissed off, offended that his team played like that, and now he's holding people accountable, and then do you look at Doug Peterson where it's like, I have no idea what's going on? Does that mean something?
I think it means something when it comes to leadership. Honestly, the best leaders in the world should be able to tell you exactly what's wrong. And if you can't tell me what's wrong, how do you fix it? right? And so there's so much of this. We're going to look in the mirror. That means nothing. So I'll go back to my touring days. Well, I always have, they call it a pedal board, right? And a pedal board has all your electronics on it, and you plug in and you play. And some nights there's just going to be an issue, like a cable's loose, something happens. The worst thing that ever happened to me in those situations is when you'd have a night where everything was going wrong, and you go to the tech people afterwards, you sit down and you say, hey, what happened tonight? And the answer was, I don't know, probably just a gremlin, won't be there tomorrow. That doesn't work for me. How do I know that? So now the whole next show, I'm sitting there thinking, is this going to work tonight? Are we not going to work tonight? Like, that's the thing. I think at some point, having this not really sure, and I agree with you, I feel like everything handled from the Jags since that loss has been a little bit tail tucked between our legs. We're just going to, aw shucks, guys, we're going to go back and figure it out. And, we're just going to keep grinding. At what? So what weren't you grinding on before that you will now grind on that will make you not a subpar football team? And that's where, I think the Raiders, I'll hold nothing back here. That's one of the most embarrassing losses I've ever seen from a Raiders team. And I think Antonio Pierce failed his team. That being said, at least coming out afterwards, there has been a tone of, we got to fix this. And, we're looking at business decisions and we're having internal conversations about who's playing hard enough and who's not. We needed to have those conversations. Sure, we don't know, and that's still vague, but it's something. And I will go back to Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell has been, when he was hired, remember, Dan Campbell was trashed more than anybody. And I saw a great stat after their win the other night. It's the 9th consecutive win for the Lions after a loss. The Lions don't lose 2 straight. That's coaching. The Lions don't lose 2 straight because they've got the right culture in the building, the right understanding of what to fix. Like, I watched the Jags and I thought, man, what do? Do you give up on the season? You can't give up on a season when you got Trevor Lawrence, but my God, you're not where you thought you needed to be. And Doug Peterson is supposed to be the offensive guru coach whisperer. Whisper something. Tell us what's going on so that everybody can at least know the problem and know what's trying to be fixed. Blame somebody. I don't care if you take the blame. Blame somebody, because when you get your butt kicked like that, somebody gets blamed.
Jason, and it's a great point, and I talked about this earlier in the week. When you look at Dan Campbell, who I'm a huge advocate of, this was a guy who called out Jared Goff. And when I thought Jared Goff was more of just like a system quarterback who's going to be a seat filler coming from Los Angeles to Detroit, play a couple seasons in Detroit and then, go after the first round quarterback and replace Jared Goff, Dan Campbell calls out Jared Goff, and look what happens. You get the best version of Jared Goff, and now he's a top 5 highest paid quarterback in the NFL because of it. So I do agree with you that there is something to be said in terms of, I think, calling people out and holding people accountable.
And if you're not, everybody feels that. That's the other part. Like, even if you can't, and we know this, Austin, you know this better than anybody. When coaches step at a podium, they're not talking to me, they're not talking to you, they're talking to their locker room in every single sport, at every single layer. They're talking to their locker room. So when you come out and you give cliches, man, what you're really telling the locker room is that either you're protecting something that shouldn't be protected, or you don't have the knowledge to fix what needs to be fixed, or you don't have the you-know-whats to stand up and just take the punches. And, I think all of those messages are the wrong message. You can't tell me, and so many people listening will say, well, you handle it in front of the locker room. Nope, you handle it both. You handle it in front of the mic, and you handle it in front of this is not an either-or society with coaches. It is a both society. Doug Peterson needed to step up and start to explain what's going wrong, and then he needed to get in front of that locker room, and he needed to own his portion of it, because I do believe that athletes respect that, and he also needed to come with respect, with some sort of plan on how to fix it. I don't get a sense that any of that's happened.
Yeah, I think you're hitting some stuff that we've been talking about for a long time, and that is like you've got to be careful not to just pound your head against the wall and say what we're doing is right and can work. And some of that right now is not working. I'm not even getting to the play calling because they can't operate. They can't line up sometimes. They can't block the play, and then they can't even execute the play. We can see the problem. So is it the right play call? I don't even know, because there are 3 layers of it that aren't working before we even decide if it's the right play call. But there's also been another thing here, like you can't just assume your offense is going to score 30 because you think it can. And Doug's an offensive guy who thinks, hey, I don't care what the defense does, really, we're going to outscore you. That's kind of his mentality. But that's not it. That's not it right now with this team, because they haven't scored 21 or more points more than once in the last 7 outings. So they're definitely not doing that. But the league is indicating right now that most defenses are winning across the National Football League. So you can't be so stubborn that you just say, hey, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. No, next week we're going to do it. I mean, it's been a lot of weeks now in Jacksonville. They've lost 8 out of 9 games, which is getting a little bit ridiculous here. And you do that too long, you're going to lose your job. So I agree with everything you guys are saying. You got to figure it out. I've suggested that the guy that has equity around here, Jason, is Trevor. Now, he hasn't lost that yet. There's a lot of people point fingers in a lot of directions. I think if you need to call somebody out, you can even call Trevor in and be like, hey, we're going to call you out, man. We're going to see if this team responds to it. And you can manufacture that, right? You can. Now, Austin doesn't necessarily agree. He thinks you should call out the whole team. But I think what you guys are saying, what we're all saying, is okay. Doug does two things. And it seems like he'll go to the end of the earth to do it.
Yeah.
One, he's going to protect Press Taylor and the play calling and everything else. And two, he's going to protect players. He does not like to throw players under the bus. And I think he's got to come off that, Jason. I think he's got to do something that we're not used to him doing, and he's got to come off that and throw somebody under the bus. You can say it's our fault too, but it's okay to go after somebody here, I think.
I think the line, if he's not comfortable throwing anybody under the bus, starts with, I've got to do a better job getting the best out of Trevor Lawrence because it's not happening right now. Yeah. I've got to do a better job of getting the best out of my offensive coordinator because it's not happening right now. I've got to get a bigger hand in play calling. There are ways that he can fall on the sword and still send the message, right? And, you mentioned, Brent, and I think this is really important, like this concept that I'm an offensive coach and we can score. The concept of I'm going to make my strengths stronger, and that's how we're going to win football games, to me is not how modern football is won. Modern football right now in the NFL, for all the talk about conversations or about quarterbacks, is won with complementary football, truly. Like the Chiefs defense is as important as the Chiefs offense, and they're built in a way that they complement each other and what they attempt to do. The Bills are built complementary. Like we look at the teams that can't quite get over the hump, and it's usually when they lose that balance on one side or the other. You can no longer, the Cowboys are a great example. You can win 12 games every stinking year because your offense is great. But man, if your offense even has the slightest off day or your team comes out flat, you lose. Why? Because you weren't built with complementary skill sets. So your offense and your defense don't work at the same time. I don't think anymore that the quick fix of we're great on this side of the ball and we'll figure the other side of the ball out over the next few years. I don't think that works. You really want to be great. You gotta rise that ship on both sides at the same time, which is much tougher. It takes more discipline. It takes a better front office. It takes a better understanding on both sides of the ball. Like it takes more than just I'm good with quarterbacks to be a great team now in the NFL.
Well, I think the Bengals are realizing that right now too, right? I mean, their defense isn't 100%. Any good right now. And it's like you can say, okay, I feel good because Joe Burrow's good and my fantasy team's doing well, but that ain't it. Yeah. They're 0-3. I mean, they're very disappointing and probably even more disappointing 0-3 than the Jags, believe it or not, because they lost to the Patriots and the Commanders. I mean, of all teams. They shouldn't be doing that.
Justin Herbert has essentially thrown away the first several years of his career with a team that never wins because they haven't built complementary football around him. You look at the 1 year the Eagles had the success that they wanted to have. It wasn't just because Jalen Hurts was playing great football. It was because they were great on both lines, offensive and defensive line. Like this stuff is more boring, but it's more real to how you build a solid, consistent football team. The 49ers are not just Kyle Shanahan on offense. They are also always statistically and on the field. They're a defense that absolutely comes to play. Like we want to see an easy fix of we got this great, Seattle is a good example. They get a great defensive coordinator. Part of the reason I think Seattle can be very good is because their defensive head coach, I should say, is now going to build that defense up while they also have tremendous weapons on the outside offensively. So they're building this whole thing at the same time. That's the way to do it.
I mean, you look at Minnesota. Minnesota's identity with their head coach, it's been offensive minded, right? Well, what happens? You lose Hawkinson for a bit. You lose Addison for a little bit. You lose a lot of these star players. You still have Jefferson. That helps. But their backbone right now, what they're depending on is their defense. And their defense is giving confidence now to Sam Darnold and company to go out there and win games.
Yeah, this is what I like about the Jets, by the way. I think the Jets have a chance to be complementary. They have a very good defense, and if Aaron Rodgers can lift that offense to where it needs to be, then that's a very complementary team that can win 22-17 like the Chiefs can do just about every week. So, yeah, I think you guys are right. One other thing, and then we'll let you go, Fitz. Well, maybe I should do more than one, but I wanted to get your –
I have something, too, for him.
Okay. I don't want to keep him too long, but I just want to get a gauge from Connecticut. And I know you probably didn't watch a lot of the Browns game. And I get when things in sports don't go well that it feels like you've got no juice. Like, that's natural in any sport. But did it scream at all on the TV Monday night that this is a Monday night football game and the Jags are down 0-2 and it's like they're just playing football? Like, it doesn't feel like anybody's sparking them because in town – and I don't talk about this a lot in my 16 years here, but it's jumped off for us in the last 2 weeks. Home opener looked like they were flat. Monday Night Football, they don't look like they got juice. Like there's a juice problem in Jacksonville, which is really weird.
There is. It's palpable. And by the way, I think we've seen that from several teams across the NFL this year, and it's a big part of why we've seen weird losses. Teams are coming out flat early in the season. I'm used to that week 10, week 11. It's a grind. I understand that some weeks you don't have it. You don't have it week 1, week 2, week 3. I think those are huge issues. Again, I'll go back to the Raiders. They came out flat. And when they come out flat in week 3, you turn around and say, man, the heck's going on? That we're not fired up for an early season game that matters. What's going on that you're not fired up for a Monday night game? Like these are things that should matter, just as even above me on the coaching staff, personal pride in what you do. So I do think that it makes me question whenever a team comes out flat, who's the dog in that locker room? Not the nice guy. Who's the person that will come into the locker room and say, nope, that's not the way we do business. We show up with the same standard. The standard is the standard, the old Mike Tomlinism. Who's the person that's coming in and just taking a bite out of the butts of everybody that came out flat? Because when you come out flat a couple of times at the beginning of the season, tells me you don't have that dog, and you can't manufacture that. Trevor can't be that. That's not who he's meant to be. So you better have whatever, your Myles Garrett, your Max Crosby. You got to have your person, your TJ Watt, that will get right in the middle of somebody and be like, nope, this is Wednesday, and this is how we're going to practice on Wednesday. Because flat on Sunday didn't happen on Sunday. It happened on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That's why I like having Fitz on, Austin, because you get the outside perspective. Fitz, just so you know, this is what we've been talking about. Do they have a dog? Do they have that guy? And Cam Robinson, we think, is that guy, is their left tackle. But he's a left tackle, and he gave up 8 pressures the other night. Hard to be that guy if you're giving up 8 pressures. Dewey Wingard, even we suggested. This guy's been out of the lineup, but he's flying around with his hair on fire when he plays. He'll get you in your face a little bit. Maybe sometimes people think it's too much, but at least it's something. They have a lot of nice guys in that locker room. They have a lot of even keel guys. There's something to be said for that in certain moments. But they built this locker room with a team that can stick together, which they are. Yeah. But can you get someone fired up, which you need to do? It's a conversation that's happening, and it's very interesting that you see it that way.
Jason, speaking of sticking together, man, I got to pick your brain about this. You're rocking the hoodie and everything. I know you watch college football. You follow college football. I think you know where I'm going to go with this. For those of you that aren't initiated, that don't know what's going on, there's a quarterback by the name of Matthew Sluka. I think I pronounced that correctly, who's a quarterback for UNLV. 3-0 right now as the quarterback, and has decided to sit out the rest of the season. Not because of an injury, but what I'm reading, and once again, these are always kind of hearsay, but what I'm reading is because it's over $100,000 NIL agreement. What are your thoughts with this right now? Because this is really unprecedented. I get it's UNLV, so maybe it's not getting the spotlight that it should, but this could open the door, man, to the absolute wild west of college football, where if you have a player who's playing at a very high level, is 3-0 right now, and he says, you know what? I'm not making enough money here at UNLV. I'm going to sit out and maybe, go someplace else. What are your thoughts right now? What's going on?
Yeah, so you're 1,000% right about everything. Sluka decided and announced on social media that he's not going to return to the team because he says a coach made a promise to him for $100,000 in NIL. He has nothing in writing and no proof of that, but his new agent, who, by the way, is not a board-certified agent in the state of Nevada, went to UNLV after the first couple of games and said, hey, you owe him $100,000. Well, UNLV's stance is that we can't just pay a player to play. That's illegal in the state of Nevada, and that's against NCAA rules. The collective is saying we knew nothing about it. So the player has elected to do this right now after 3 weeks because it keeps his redshirt availability. He can transfer. If he plays one more game, he loses redshirt. The problem for UNLV is that they're about to take on Fresno State. I know a lot of you are laughing. The highest ranked group of 5 team gets an automatic bid to the college football playoff. And right now, UNLV has a very real shot at being that team. So they're looking at it as a team and saying, hey, we actually have a real shot at the college football playoff. And our starting quarterback, who's playing very well, is now insisting on $100,000. Like this, from their standpoint, it feels like an old school mafia shakedown. From his standpoint, a coach told me I was getting $100,000. The collective says they didn't know. Nobody's paid me. I want my money. So he steps away. The dangerous part of this precedent, and I don't think this would happen with anybody that has NFL opportunities, but the dangerous part of this precedent is what stops somebody from a school that's having a great year that knows he's probably not headed from the before a playoff game from saying, hey, I want to play this playoff game, but I'm going to need an extra $2.5 million. Hell, what stops if you're about to take on, Florida State with the quarterback that's not going to make it in the NFL, and you're Michigan, what stops Michigan's collective from going to somebody and being like, hey, we'll pay you $4 million not to play the game? Like, this opens such a weird can of worms through everything that this is the worst case scenario. I will say the NCAA is at fault here because they never put systems in place, and now they can't put systems in place. So they have to own this. But like in the market you guys are in, where you have schools like Florida State, many of those schools I think wouldn't fall victim to this. But UCF, USF, schools like that, I don't know, man. Like this becomes a very dangerous precedent of, I need to see everything in writing to see who's doing. If the school's done wrong, then there needs to be some sort of legal recourse for the kid where they don't have to give up their eligibility and the school has to give them their money. If the player is simply holding a school hostage so they can get more money, man, that's a level of creepy we did not anticipate hitting college football, and it changes the game forever. Because for all we know, I mean, Will Howard might not have any future pro prospects. But if he wants to turn around and say, I want to play this natty, but I want you to give me $10 million, I mean, who's going to say no? That's the weird part of this.
He's a hell of a businessman if he does that, by the way. But hey, this is part of being in the wild, wild west. We need this stuff to happen with NIL, transfer portal, this day and age. It's a changing landscape in college sports. We know the NCAA just can't handle its business. Like, that's a given. But we need stuff like this to arise to be able to eventually fix it and put parameters on it.
But Brent, can you though? Like, is it to the? I feel like you're to the point where you can't fix it anymore. It's like when these things happen, it's like it's only gonna snowball from here and get worse and worse and worse.
Well, there's no such thing as can't fix. Like, there's a solution out there eventually. The question is, and this is my problem with college sports, and this is why everybody's going to blame the kid in this situation or the NCAA. But here's what you blame, Fitz. You blame the next team that picks them up. Because if a kid's willing to do this, why do I want him in my program?
Because he can win, Brent. Because he's Brent, come on.
Then stop.
Don't be naive, though.
No, okay.
If the kid can sling a pigskin, that's all that matters.
Then don't complain about it. Then don't complain about it when he leaves your program. And don't complain about it when he holds you hostage. Because now you're telling me that's all that matters. And that's what we've done in college sports. It's a business. All that matters is winning, paying players, doing all this stuff, buying your guys. Like, that's what matters. And so you want to keep eating at yourself, go pick this kid up. If you want to send a message, don't pick him up. But we're just going to have this endless revolving door. But we need these situations, I think, Fitz, to present itself if we're going to come up with a solution. And it might take 5 or 10 years to figure out the solution. Heck, the way the NCAA works, it might take 50 years. It took us this long to get to a 12-team playoff.
The real solution is for all of the schools to come together and form one massive unit together with the commissioner, and for all of the kids that play to become part of a CBA union, like unionizing all of these kids to protect the kids, and then having a true battle between the players and becoming the NFL is the way that this stops. Anything short of that, I honestly believe, because you're right, don't pick the kid up. But then I could also see a world where the kid hires representation and sues for collusion. Right? Like if the NCAA comes in and says today, well, we're not going to allow this level of movement. Some kid will sue and say, you don't have the right to stop me, free market society. And every one of those lawsuits so far has won. The NCAA has lost every lawsuit to a player. So like, I honestly, the real solution is full unionization, make them employees, figure out how to get it done. It'll take a decade to get there. But I think that's the only thing that long-term stops it. And unfortunately, something like this happening to UNLV, everybody will just, pat on the head like a cute little stepbrother and be like, that's cute, go play in the lawn. Until this happens to Ohio State, before they take on Michigan for the game, that's when things will get different. That's when somebody will say, oh, wait a minute, we can't possibly let this happen. And that's the slippery slope.
Yeah, you're right. Listen, it's no simple solution here, but the next 3 or 4 years are going to start to begin to present what you just said. Now, I don't know if we get to the full CBA stuff, but we're getting into that break off. Like, it's happening. I mean, behind closed doors, it's already happening. We're going to have a different landscape, and that's going to happen as soon as the next few years.
Y'all live in one of the few states in the country that allows high school kids to profit off their name, image, likeness as well. Like, let's not bury our heads in the sands. This is going to happen in high school too.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you are a top high school prospect and you got a chance to sit out, like the minute you get your scholarship offer, you're going to go to the school and be like, well, you better make this worth my while. And I'm not talking about an insurance plan like that. This is going to trickle all the way in the next 10 years. This is going to be impacting middle school kids. These sorts of moments will impacting 6th graders that want to play football for a living.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Me and my son are having the conversations already here, Jason, where, we're going to put the pads on and everything. If you drop 3 touchdowns, Gonna need some under the table money. You know, if you want to win Pop Warner championships, gonna need some money for it. Right, Ronan? We good? Yes, sir. He knows.
Austin. I'm going to help you here.
What's up?
Here. All right. Stop letting your kid catch anything, drop anything, tackle anything.
Yeah.
If you've got a kid right now and you're listening,
Ronan, you listening?
A punter.
All right.
Make them a punter. Think about it. Hear me out.
Okay.
You never have to make a game-winning kick, right?
True.
You never have to make a tackle. If you make a tackle, you get credited. If you miss a tackle, people are like, what'd you expect? It was the punter. If you get tackled, it's a penalty. And you can do that for 15 years, making what? $3-4 million, $5 million a year if you're really good.
Yeah.
You're talking over the course of the year, over the course of your career, you're still pocketing $45-50 million to kick a football with absolutely no pressure. You work on your golf game during practices. You barely break a sweat during the summer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's like, I'm going to make my kid a left-handed pitcher. Why? That's stress on the body. You can even be fat and still be a punter. You can eat cheesecake and go punt during the game. Like this, if I had a kid and look, I might just start having kids so I can make them punters in the NFL so I can retire.
I mean, as long as he's not going to go to, he doesn't go play for Michigan and then kind of fumble the punt against Michigan State and cost the team the game.
Very rarely happens.
There's that one little risk. That one little
caveat.
caveat.
An athlete. His dad's an athlete. Like, my kids, I have tiny baby hands. Like my hands are smaller than most children's hands. I should not handle a football, right? Like it hits me in the hands, I'm going to drop it. You're an athlete. That's been passed down to him. Like, look, this is your chance for your son to say, hey, I can either get, in a ring and have to punch people and get punched, or I can kick a football with absolutely no pressure. I think I'm helping the whole Lane family.
Yeah. What do you want to do, man? Punt, Rones? We punting?
He's a tough guy.
I'm going to call Brian Anger, and we're going to get Brian Anger on the horn here, and we're going to show you some punting lessons.
Ronan is stretching his hamstrings as we speak.
Exactly.
Fitz, one of these days, I'm not going to keep you this long, man, but we appreciate you jumping in. Great stuff.
I love hanging out with you guys.
Like,
have a great week.
Say hi to Fitz.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for the advice, quick, Rones, right here. Say thanks. We're going to be a punter.
Thanks.
Go punt. Go work on it all day.
Or play the fiddle and be like Fitz.
There we go.
See you, man.
There we go.
Thanks.
Later, man. Thank you.
That's Jason Fitz from Yahoo Sports. And, man, he's the best. We love having him on. Great conversation. I love the outside perspective on that. By the way, that punting advice is pretty good.
Yeah, but like we told my son that it looked like I asked him to take out the dishes, to take out the garbage or do the dishes. Like he didn't look enthused about it, unfortunately.
Just show him like what people with $40-50 million do. That'll resonate.
Yeah, I know, man. I mean, are there punters with like big NIL deals? I guess like the Australian dudes kind of get.
Yeah, I don't think they get NIL deals, but I mean, Logan Cook's going to have himself a pretty nice career and a pretty nice bank account at the end of it.
Yeah.
And by the way, the one thing, Logan Cook would take offense to a lot of things that were just said there, like eating cheesecake and things, because that dude's an athlete.
True.
Like, he's a really good athlete. He's like their emergency quarterback.
He's going to the Pride.
He is.
These past 5 years, what else we got, man?
Yeah.
He's going to the Pride.
Put him in. The kicking is amazing. The kicking is amazing in the NFL. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The ball, like Scobie still, like it resonates in my mind from the Dream 18 day when we had Scobie stop by and he said the way people are working out the football is helping it.
Okay.
Like that's what he kind of indicated. It's unbelievable what kickers are doing. And Logan Cook is so good. But there are so many good kickers out there right now, punting and kicking. I mean, it's unbelievable how the ball is juiced. Like it's baseball. It's like what I talk about in baseball.
Yeah. Ever Cook Field?
Ever Cook Field.
Let's do it. Let's do it. When is that? October what? When Indy comes 6th. To town.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and make good on that whole Trevor Bank thing. Ever Cook Field. Let's go.
Okay.
Brent, I'm trying to help out Brent. I'm trying to find some kind of hope here. Casey, how we feel about Ever Cook Field?
Sure.
Let's go.
Okay, might be cooked.
And there goes my credential. All right.
Don't worry, you're on a long list.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hey, we got to get halfway down the alphabet to get to you.
Sure. Yeah,
we'll be back on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jax 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jax and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning. And mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, and got some more of those cumulonimbus clouds rolling in. Casey, is it raining outside yet, or are we still kind of just, Is it the quiet before the storm?
I don't believe it's raining.
Okay. Yep. So last night got 4 text messages making sure that I'm okay with this hurricane and everything. Saw it on the news, say it's going to be a bad one. I appreciate the text messages, but you know how we operate here in Jacksonville. We're all good, but I appreciate the concern. Casey, you know what I want to happen? I want someone to, because it'll happen. Like, mark my words, I'm going to have friends in Wisconsin, Chicago, who aren't really versed in the whole hurricane thing. I'm going to get a text message that's going to go, hey, man, just making sure that you're safe. Are you okay? I kind of just want to go, nope, house blew away. House underwater, car rolled away. It is absolute chaos right here. Just to see like what they would say about it.
That's a good question.
What are they going to do? You going to PayPal me some money? You going to Venmo me some money? What are you going to do? Nothing.
Yeah, there's not, I mean.
Thoughts and prayers.
Sorry about that. That sucks. Like you're getting back at that sucks text.
Well, that
which is
sucks.
foul.
No, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to see 3 dots and then nothing. They're going to be like, well, what do I
Never
say
mind.
here?
Just-
Never
I'm not
mind.
saying
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you in your future endeavors.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Go to a hotel.
Go to hotel. There you go. Exactly. But welcome back to the Brent Austen Show. Brent is out for a second, so I guess Casey and I will hold down the fort. And Brent Martineau teased it a little bit, and let's get into it. Let's get into some things around the league, Casey. And I'm not sure if you've seen the stats yet in terms of QBR, one analytic thing that I can actually believe in because, well, it's been around forever, and it kind of shows who the good quarterbacks are and, you know, who are the struggling quarterbacks right now. And spoiler alert, when it comes to QBR, Trevor Lawrence is not in the top half of the league, unfortunately. But once again, still plenty of season left. Casey, here's the real question.
Oh, boy. I like where this is going on.
Give me the top 5 quarterbacks right now in QBR in the entire NFL. And spoiler alert, some of them might be a little bit of a surprise.
Top 5, so you're talking like Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold is number 5, Casey. Yes, he is.
How about it?
How about it?
Who else?
Brent, feel free to play along now as well. And by the way, it's not your boy Daniel Jones, so don't worry about it.
We'll let Casey do it.
All right.
Whoa, I could use some help.
Oh, you want help? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy exercise. It's a team bonding thing here, man.
You got to play the 3 games, right? So it's not like Andy Dalton made this list.
No.
Okay.
It's all these quarterbacks have played in 3 games.
Is Jaden Daniels sneaky on there?
Jaden Daniels, good call, Casey. He's number 7. He is sneaky, but not sneaky enough.
I tried.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's number 1 overall. Yep.
Well, sure. I mean, way to go.
By a long shot,
You
by
said
the
you
way.
needed help.
Dude, we're trying to get sneaky here.
Oh.
We know the obvious ones.
So we
How
have
about
1 and
Matthew
5.
Stafford.
Matthew Stafford is 14.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray is number 3.
Oh, of course. We wouldn't
say that
do
name
this.
again.
We wouldn't do
Say
this
that name
if it
again,
wasn't
Casey?
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. Yeah, he's doing pretty good. Daniel Jones, let me see where he's at again real quick. 16. Not bad for Mr. Jones.
Pretty good.
Mr. Jones and me. Okay, so we're missing
2 and 4.
number 2 and 4. Yep.
Baker Mayfield.
No. Baker Mayfield is it's not him. I don't even see him on
Justin
this list right now.
Fields.
That's sneaky.
Justin Fields is sneaky, but no, it's 21.
They
Not
do be
sneaky
wrong.
enough. But by the way, Patrick Mahomes is 20th right now.
Oh, he sucks.
Well, it's definitely not Will Levis or Richardson. So CJ Stroud.
No, Stroud is 12. And Will Levis
Derek
is
Carr.
nailed it, Casey. Number
Yeah,
2 right
Probably
now.
2, yeah.
Derek Carr,
Strength
and
of
we're
those two
missing
teams.
number 4.
Go with, I don't think this is it. Boy, he's got a couple games. Now, I'm going to go with Geno Smith.
I thought about that.
It's not Geno
Is
Smith.
it Malik Willis? Has he qualified?
No, he's played all 3 games. Geno Smith is number 9. Good guess, Brent. I'll say this about this quarterback. I feel like he's really elevated his game now in light of what's going on.
In light of what's going on.
In light of the adversity, he's upped his game.
They suck.
The record may not reflect it.
They suck. Confirmed.
But I'm just saying, in light of the adversity, this quarterback has really stepped up his
Rodgers.
game. No.
Joe Burrow.
No.
Who else plays football?
Who's bad right now?
Herbert. Herbert got hurt. Never mind.
No, who's not great? Oh, Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Yes, sir. Losing your best running back. Losing, who else? They lost Debo for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your
Brock
list
Purdy.
is Josh Allen, Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, and Sam Darnold.
According to QBR right now, Josh Allen, Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, and Sam Darnold are the top 5
I think
quarterbacks
Trevor's 25.
right now.
Is that right?
I mean,
He's only right behind
Lamar.
Mahomes, guys. Relax.
Yeah, and one team's 3-0, Brent, and one team is. But surprisingly, Jared Goff is below Trevor Lawrence. So that's kind of crazy.
Do you guys? Where are you guys on? I know you're not anywhere on QBR. Casey, where are you on QBR?
It exists. It's
Are
definitely
you a
thing.
rating or a QBR guy?
Neither really. To be honest.
Eye test.
Just are you winning or losing?
Are you Sam Darnold or are you not Sam Darnold?
Basically,
that's
are
where
you
Casey's
3-0 and like really good at football, or are you mid and 0-3?
But let's be honest. I mean, you can say are you winning or losing, but winning or losing isn't always enough. For even if some teams are winning, you're not like, yeah, but the quarterback they're doing it.
What are they
because
talking
got
about
a
in
good
Pittsburgh,
defense.
Brent?
And, yeah, I mean a little bit like that, right?
You
I mean,
even guessed Justin Fields on the QBR thing, and you knew it wasn't great. So like, you winning or losing?
Yeah, no, I get it.
And Justin Fields is winning.
The reason
They
why
do
I
be
guess a
running
lot
it.
of those guys because I have no idea how QBR works, and I still don't think we all do. It's much like DVOA and EPA and all the rest. It's just like it's not a made up thing, but it's kind of a made up thing.
But see, to me, it takes into like the stats. Like, I think if you look at these guys' stats I just named, they probably have some of the best stats in the NFL.
Yeah, I think it plays out, right?
Yeah.
It's a very small sample size, obviously 3 games in because they fluctuate so much. I think actually Trevor's QBR after week 2 was fine. After week 3, it's abysmal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it is pretty wild though that you can get Mahomes on that list. Like, what does that mean if Mahomes is 20? It means that their defense is once again kind of leading the way. Yeah. They're not in sync and not in rhythm on offense, right?
By the way, to answer your question, Trevor Lawrence was 12th week 1, and I don't think you want to see week 2. He was 18th week 2.
After 2 weeks or just week 2?
No, I'm saying so in week 1, his QBR rating was good for 12th in the league. Yep. And then week 2, this isn't like a cumulative thing. This is just after this game.
Just after the game.
He was 18th.
Well, right now, I mean, again, I do think, like, we can talk about being elite in the top 5 and all that stuff. I do think we just get in, like, the top 10 or 12 would be fine. And I don't need to be top 10 or 12 in the QBR. I'm just trying to be, like, top 10 or 12 playing ability, whether your eye test says it or whether the numbers say it, gets you wins.
Yeah.
Like, that puts you in a position to win. He's got to play like a top 12 quarterback. He's not playing like a top 12 quarterback, and they're playing like a disaster of a team on top of it.
And Kirk Cousins, number 19, in case Jason Hamby's listening.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Like, he definitely looks – you talk about when you can see the eye test of a guy that doesn't look fully comfortable.
Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah. In that offense, like that new offense, with a guy that's so old, you'd think it would be easier to adapt at this stage. But I think he's a great example of it, showcases that it takes some time. I mean, they've got weapons. He's a good player. He's been around the block. And an injury might factor into it. He just doesn't he look a little out of sorts? He doesn't look fully comfortable.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look confident yet.
Yeah.
But I also remember when I was getting laughed out of the building when I said we did that quarterback exercise and I had Geno Smith ahead of Kirk Cousins and you guys thought I was crazy. I also had Geno Smith ahead of Trevor Lawrence. And
why is this always about having to be right? Like, you don't win anything.
Because you got to be right.
Because you got to be right, man. Because, hey, I'm the first one to admit when I was wrong.
I don't know about that.
Ryan Nielsen?
You already did.
How many times have I said, wow, I thought here like he's going to be a head coach one day and
What else has your attention around the National Football
I mean,
League?
Brett, maybe you're right sometimes. So you can bring about it too. But, we're still in the whole Daniel Jones drama. God, that Kyler Murray 75.6 looks mighty fine at the top of that list.
It took us 6 years to kind of come around on a good number for Kyler Murray outside of his paycheck.
Oh, man. Also, you get him some weapons. You get him some weapons, and now look what he can do, Brett.
Let me guess. You're a big Cliff Kingsbury fan, too.
Didn't say
look
that.
What he's doing in Washington.
I mean, you kind of like what Jane Daniels is doing, though, Brett.
Kind of cooking.
Yeah.
Kind of cooking.
Did I take Antonio Gibson because of Cliff Kingsbury? You bet I did. You bet I did.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are an amazing organization.
Yeah.
I mean, they've scored 51 points and won 3 games. The other teams that have won 3 games, here's what they've scored. Buffalo, 112. Thanks, Jags. Kansas City, 75. It's another game's worth of points, basically, than Pittsburgh. Let's see what's here. Minnesota 85, sorry. And Seattle 73. So Pittsburgh scored 51 points, which is better than only 5 teams in the entire AFC. Yet they're one of 3 teams undefeated.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You talk about teams that just know how to win, man.
It's good defense,
and we got to
though,
suffer
man.
through all this crap down here.
Well, and that's
Can
the
you
thing,
sprinkle
too.
some of that down here?
With Pittsburgh, it's like, okay, you missed on your quarterback with Pickett.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Small Hands. But you didn't even skip a beat. Like, all right, yeah, we'll bring in Justin Fields. Yeah, we'll bring in Russell Wilson, even though no one really
we
seems
might have a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, we'll have a quarterback controversy and cause drama there. No, like Mike Tomlin keeps the ship afloat. Listen, I don't think there's any other team in the NFL, Brent, regardless of injuries, regardless of TJ Watt, your best player, gets hurt, regardless of quarterback, regardless of Pat Fryermuth getting hurt. Whoever gets hurt, no matter what you go through, you know what you're getting. You're probably going to, have a winning season, number one, and you might go to the playoffs. Imagine having that kind of, fandom. Imagine rooting for that team where it's like, oh, man, TJ Watt got hurt. Well, I guess we'll still go to the playoffs, but how are we going to do in the play? That's their conversations.
It would be great. It would be unbelievable.
We're a Tyson Campbell hamstring away from the whole defense just going up in flames.
What is going on with the Russell Wilson thing? Is he going to play?
I don't know, man.
He was like a game-time decision type deal in week 1. We're going into week 4.
Yeah.
How do you play him now?
I don't know. I'm just asking, how do you handle that situation? You brought him over.
He's playing Fields. Cool. Yeah.
Sit there, Captain. Give me some water. Captain Underpants, give me some water, dog.
Do you think Justin Fields comes out to the sideline and just be like, hey, Captain, give me some water, please?
I would.
Yep.
That's exactly what I would do.
Yep.
It's a fascinating thing because have you guys watched Pittsburgh? I haven't really watched him play. I've
seen a little bit of it.
Has he played well? Or is he just doing enough to just because they're Pittsburgh and they win?
I mean, it doesn't always look great. But,
yeah.
I mean, he's electric. He's always been electric when he carries the ball.
I'm a big fan of him. I think Justin Fields.
Hey, I almost had a heart attack, man. There's a dog at... Okay, what's up, Aspen? Sorry, Brent. I thought it was sorry, man.
That was a wolf?
Honestly, I thought it was something like that, yeah.
It was a great shot on the camera because obviously Aspen has colored eyes. So, you just kind of see the eyes poke out from behind.
Oh, man. But my heart skipped a beat for a second. Sorry, everybody.
Listen, I don't even say hi to Aspen anymore. I see.
I love Aspen. I just wasn't expecting Aspen to come in here. Something's grazing my leg. I look down. I'm like, jeez. Yeah, okay, sorry. Anyways.
What kind of studio is this?
What are we talking about here? Justin Fields. No, so he hasn't elevated, I feel like, the offense at all. Because look at the George Pickens fantasy numbers and everything. But he's done enough.
Yeah, obviously doing enough. But what are they is he making them think twice about what Chicago did? Is because of everything they gave up, all this. Well, they didn't really give up. What did they get? It was a 6th-round pick or something.
Nothing really.
I mean, but they got swindled for 3 wins so far for that 6th-round pick. We'll take it if you're Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I just don't think we're there, right? Caleb Williams, it's way too early to be like, oh, I wish we should have kept. Listen, I'm a big fan of Fields. I thought they should have kept Fields and built around him. Honestly,
true.
That was if we go back to that conversation, that's what I would have done.
I remember that.
But I also would have fired Eberflus.
Yeah.
So, and reset it.
I guess it comes down to, do you think Russell Wilson would be 3-0 right now too as well? I mean, I know it's hard to predict, but
I think getting 17 points a game, probably.
Yeah.
You don't think so, Casey? No. 17 points a game, even the Jags can do
Russ
that.
is mid. Hey, first of all,
Well,
on a decent day. I mean,
best day, actually.
So the best possible outcome, they get 17.
If the weather conditions are right and everything.
Yeah, so settle down there.
Carolina scored more points than Pittsburgh.
Andy Dalton, man. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just a weird. I don't know why they win, man. I don't get why people win.
It's defense, Brent. Come on.
Well,
but no, seriously, that's everything.
Yeah, right now it is.
That's their attitude. That's who they are. That's what Tomlin brings to the table.
It also gives me the vibe of if you play for the Steelers, it's not accepted to lose.
True.
I think there's a part of that where it's we're just not gonna lose, and if we do, it's because we get beat barely or something like that. But I feel like when you play for Pittsburgh, you show up expecting to win. Where in Jacksonville, I don't know if you show up expecting to win.
No, that's a good point. Like, I wonder, and I'm sure.
No, I know you
there's
don't.
been some. But there's been some, but like,
You don't.
like, has there ever been like there's been Steeler blowouts, right? There's had to be with Pickett, but like, I always feel like even when the Steelers lose, it's like they're close competitive
right.
games.
Yeah, it's just
even when they shouldn't be.
It's a DNA thing, and there are some organizations that have it. And I kind of wonder. I'm looking at New England a little bit, especially the way they started. I'm saying, okay, are they a team that's just even after Belichick, have they got the DNA to just win even when they shouldn't? Like they're not good. Like New England's not good, right?
Yeah.
But maybe they will because that's what they've now become. When I grew up, they weren't that. But for 20 years, they were. Is that a Belichick-Brady thing, or can Mayo find that? Can he continue that because that's what the organization now is?
And Mayo is a Belichick guy as well.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so I mean, you're almost kind of carrying on that whole vibe, if you will, of what Belichick brought to the table.
But I kind of say it a little bit facetiously about, like, why do they win? But is it a Pittsburgh thing or is it a Tomlin thing? Is it a Patriots thing or is it a Belichick thing?
Oh, it's a
Is it a Baltimore thing? Is it a Harbaugh thing? You know what I mean? Like, once that guy switches over, once Tomlin, this is why you never get rid of him, because you're 3-0 and you scored 52 points. Like, that's my argument. Like, don't get rid of him, Pittsburgh, because you ain't that good, really. Like, they're not a team that scares you.
No, like, listen, I think it's definitely a Tomlin thing more than even a Steelers thing.
Okay.
Right? Because, I mean, I just get the vibe from Mike Tomlin where, like Casey was alluding to, there's an expectation. You know, and if you can't reach an expectation, you're not going to be there. Like that's who they are. There's a gold standard right now in Pittsburgh where if you're not competitive, if you're not playing great defense, if you're not all in, see ya.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously in Jacksonville, you haven't got that yet.
I just don't have it. Killer Tofu says Casey looks good with the beard. There you go. We got the all beard team today.
you.
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Maybe
Brent,
I should get one.
Are you
going.
going to join us?
No.
Brent joined the club.
Babyface Brent over here.
Yeah, I will not have that.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Take a timeout, which I awfully time my timeouts at noon, like all the time.
Fine.
But we'll come back. There was a question in the chat earlier about the Jags I didn't get to. I want to ask you guys this. I'll surprise you when we come back on the Brent Austen Show on a Hurricane Helene day here in the state of Florida, and obviously a very gray day around here. Things will get a little worse as the day goes along and through the midnight hour. First Alert Weather Team's got you covered. In fact, the noon show just started on CBS 47. If you need to get the latest on Hurricane Helene, then hurry back with us on the Brent Austen Show. Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's hard to put a price on comfort, especially when you use that comfort on a daily basis. But if we're going to put a price on it, how does the lowest price guaranteed sound? Furniture Source is going to have the biggest brands, whether it's Ashley, Casper, or Tempur-Pedic, and once again, it's going to be the guaranteed lowest price in Jacksonville. Right now, my friends at Furniture Source are going to give you the ultimate hookup because all month long, they're making their inventory wholesale price. Check out their markdowns up to 50% off. And remember, since it's Furniture Source, you're getting the guaranteed lowest prices in Florida or your money back. Don't have the cash on you right now? It's no worry. Shop endless options to suit your style and budget and enjoy 36 months off with no interest financing. Why use your money when you can use theirs? Whether it's beds, couches, tables, or chairs, Furniture Source is going to have exactly what you're looking for. Shop the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed. Find the location nearest you at FurnitureSourceJacks.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning. and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Financing options available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
New to town or always been in town, everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martinos get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're gonna love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Oh, how was the Scrap House last night? The Scrap House.
Not bad. That was good, man. A little raspy, a little gravel in that voice.
You just got to do it.
The Scrap
It's
House.
a lot like the Jags. They just got to go play.
Just don't think about it. Just do it.
It was very interesting yesterday. By the way, Scrap House, 7 o'clock on Wednesdays with Casey Kurtz and Austin Lane.
Ask me how it was and doesn't even care, but go ahead. Yep.
Yeah,
Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I was trying to sneak it in before you got here so we could give it a proper push. Brent's like, hey, all right. Now, Brent, the real question is, did you set it for replay? So are people going to be able to see it today and tomorrow as well?
Nice.
Yeah, what I can't remember, I do this spreadsheet, is I can't remember, does it play both? I think it's just today at 3 o'clock on the replay.
That's crazy. The original conversation was Thursday and Friday, but
Nope. This could be another
I heard there's
UNLV
like a 4-hour
situation.
window tomorrow night where there's nothing going to be on.
It could, well, yeah,
Could
but
just be
then I got to
Scrap
go.
House after Scrap House.
I got to go back in the system. That might be an option. Actually.
Back-to-back Scrap Houses?
Yeah.
Dang. All right.
But what I wondered is, does it run? I think we're having this conversation of the time sensitivity to the show.
It can play up until Friday at 8.
Okay, so actually Friday.
Because
at
then
8
new stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it might play actually both the way we scheduled it in.
Dang right.
Cool.
I can't remember.
No, that's fine.
So the way this thing works, it's actually kind of interesting. I was showing Casey,
Nice.
but like on Sundays, I'll do the spreadsheet, which is basically our TV guide, if you will, for lack of a better explanation of what's going to play on our network. But I have to do it so this Sunday is going to be the 29th?
Yep.
So I have to do it for the next week, starting on Monday. So it's October 7th. So I've got to be a week ahead. So in reality, when I do it for the week of October 7th, I'm already doing all the way up to October 13th.
Okay.
So I'm way ahead on the spreadsheet. So when you ask me what's on the spreadsheet, and this week was goofy because Monday Night Football screwed everything up. Yeah. That was normal.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to go back in my mind 2 spreadsheets ago to figure out what is even on it.
Yeah.
But just flip it on. You'll find out. But no, it definitely runs today at 3
Sweet.
o'clock in that
Scrap
window.
House.
We actually have the locker room that runs today. That's like all the sound that we got yesterday. And it's just raw up there, basically, that we just put in the system. And several other shows, including the Young and Norvell show today at 4 o'clock, and more to come. Now, what we don't do, and I'm glad you reminded me, because we don't have Jaguars All Access tonight. That got postponed.
Yeah.
Which means now I got to go in the system and put a half hour in because it won't play
true.
anything. So-
Same with Friday night. We'd be in black.
Well, Friday, I knew that one was coming. So we don't have Friday Night Blitz. We don't have
glad
the
you
Friday
knew, 'cause
Night
I
Zone Blitz. Yeah, you didn't know until earlier today. But so we've got to now put stuff in its place that isn't going to run. I mean, we're running a TV station out of this little studio here.
Amazing.
It's unbelievable. So it's kind of fun. So how was the Scrap House again?
Oh, it was great, man. Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
show. I mean, the first thing,
Real quality.
I think the first break or right before, it must have been the first break.
Oh, no.
Casey was already saying something that happened last night. You guys were already talking about something.
Yeah. For AW.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I thought you meant the break in the Scrap House. I was like, we actually didn't take one.
No, what?
Yeah, I was gonna say breaks in the scrap
We ran
house.
out
What are you
of
talking
time.
about, man? Yeah, all killer, no pillar.
The other beauty of this, I like that.
That's good, actually.
That's pretty good. That should be our motto.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this thing. We take breaks whenever the hell we want to.
Yeah.
Until somebody comes down and says we need to take more.
Scrap House ain't taking any.
So what was the
the
story?
breaks.
What happened at AEW last night?
Oh, just a major debacle on a random Wednesday. They decided to throw like a pay-per-view out there.
So they're in actually Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Up in
outdoors.
Flushing.
I'm sorry.
In Flushing.
I guess.
in New York.
Yeah.
Flushing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Flushing.
That's where the U.S. Open is.
I
It's
got
technically called Flush.
That's what the city's called? Change
Yeah.
it.
Change it.
Like, it's questionable.
Change it.
But yeah, it was decent. But the problem is, I am not in on basically the only storyline they got going. So I texted Austin during the match, which definitely should have gone a different direction.
Yeah.
And said if they go the direction that they've gone for the last year, I'm boycotting. And then about 3 minutes later, the match ended. It went that direction, and then I texted.
And he
Austin,
said, "I'm boycotting."
officially boycotting.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about it until they fix it.
Casey was not happy with one of the results last night, Brent.
Really? You just wanted the storyline to be different?
Dude, I'm sick of the Young Bucks, bro.
Wow,
I'm sick of it.
spoilers! Okay.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I just said I'm sick of them.
Okay. Yeah.
So what you
What do you mean
want somebody-
spoilers? It happened.
I know. You're right.
Let me just ask you this. Do you get sick of, like, over the years, whether it's, the wrestlers that are always the most popular? I mean, why are you sick of the Young Bucks?
I'm sick of the story.
Yeah. Just the way that they're presented.
They're fine. It was a great match to watch. It went about, 25 minutes or so, maybe longer. And the team they were against was fantastic. Should have got the win. The Bucks are great in the ring. The story's just stale.
I mean, let's set the scene real quick, Brent.
Spoilers!
No, we're good. We're good because we talked about this already. Remember when Tony Khan was in that neck brace?
Yeah.
A lot of that had to do with the Young Bucks doing it to him.
Okay.
All right, and some other people as well. That story just that was it. Like, they went after Tony Khan. They assaulted the CEO or whatever. They assaulted the owner of AEW. That was it.
As far as we know, Tony may not be alive,
No.
according to AEW.
No
Oh, haven't seen him
repercussions.
since?
I don't think we've seen him, have we? On TV?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if we
I
have or
don't
not.
think
But
so.
no repercussions. Like, but when this happened to, like, Vince McMahon, let's just say in the past,
Yeah.
when they had those guys.
Okay.
He's gonna put the Undertaker after you or somebody.
Yeah.
like
Oh,
he's
so he
he's
never
getting
got that
his.
switch. What do you think happened there then? Did he
I don't know.
Tony gave up.
It's just like
give up on that storyline?
No, he's just letting people run his company in the story.
I don't know, man. It's weird because like
Could it be something down the road though?
no, it's way past the point of that now, Brent. Like
Really?
this is like the
It was a while
draft.
ago.
Yeah, this
No,
is
I
the
know.
draft.
I get it.
And it's like
I was just wondering if there's a longer game here.
I mean maybe a super long game,
Speed
but
it up.
yeah, yeah. I mean like
You don't have the
if this was like the Bold and the Beautiful, Tony Khan's been in a coma for 5 years now.
which also does happen.
Oh, happens, dude. That's a staple.
That is a
Someone's
staple.
gonna wake from a coma.
Yes.
Thought he was dead. Nope, just in a coma.
All right, so catch more of the Scrap House Wednesdays and also replay today.
Heck yeah.
The Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Before I forget to do this, I want to make sure we do. We had the Smash Up Fantasy guys on yesterday,
Yep.
and you guys got to get into the. I did my lineup.
Casey Put up that QR code real quick so I can finally log into this thing.
But this is it's free and it's easy. Listen, I did it.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long. So it's pretty easy.
Point.
And it's cool. It'll be interesting to see how people not only do their teams, but what kind of the what do you call the smash up part?
Smash ups, yep.
Like what they pick, because there's a bunch of options, much like picking a bunch of different receivers.
How much is John Mechie right now?
That's a good call.
Yep.
That's what we were talking about yesterday.
Yep.
That's a pretty good call. So anyway, you get like $50,000 salary to build your team. And then you get another $12,000 to build your smash ups. And then we'll see how it all shakes out. So you can go, obviously you can use the QR code right now. And I'm going to tweet some out, put it out on social media as well a little bit later. But you can get in, you don't have to get in by tonight's game. You can get in any time and build your team. And we're doing free Jaguars jersey giveaways for everybody who signs up and plays against us and with us. $1 goes to the Dream 18 charities. And there's also a bigger game for them with more prizes that you can get into on their site. There's just, this league is a lightning league for us for the next 3 weeks. So it's a 3-week attention span. That's it, guys. We're not putting anybody in a coma here, right? I mean, for 5 years. 3-week attention span. That's it. We'll tell the end of the story.
Yeah.
You do have to update your lineup each week, though. There is that. And make sure you check it out on all our social media channels or right there. It goes right to the page on the QR code. Easy sign up. Free. Free. So just have fun and play with us.
Now, be honest, Brent. Did you fill out your roster ready for Sunday?
I did.
Are there any Houston Texans players on there or not?
There was. I think I had Stroud.
Okay. Oh, wow, Brent. You're all in then, huh?
You have any Jaguars players in there?
I did, actually.
Take them out.
I had Cam Little.
The kicker?
Who did you have?
Cam Little.
Oh. What about Logan Cook?
When they don't have a punting.
Well, I don't know, man. Maybe.
I mean, I know they'll play a lot of fantasy, but they don't have punting.
You never know, man. This says everything. I feel like maybe they had punters. Okay, Logan Cook.
No, I'm not taking on. Cam Little's fine. He was cheap.
I bet.
Well, I had to get some. I mean, you got to.
I bet he was.
I got Jamar Chase.
I bet they paid you to take him.
I got Kyron Williams.
Oh, we're gonna say, hey Brent. So we listened to the show. We heard that you do this fantasy football thing. Please take one of our just take Cam Little. You're fine.
We need you to take Jag, Brent.
Just,
the only
yeah.
one. Jags ownership 0.001%.
I thought about taking Christian Kirk. I did not.
We'll see.
I wonder if he got a little something though the other day. Eight catches. You know.
True. Maybe a little more confidence.
Yeah.
No, the whole touchdown thing. You know. But
he did get in something. It was called garbage time.
I mean, sooner or later, and I'm not buying it yet. I'm not playing this game, but sooner or later, like they will score a touchdown. Like they're not going to just score 13 points a game all year.
I would hope not.
Like they'll have a breakout performance at some point. I just don't. I'm not predicting this. All right, I told you guys this before the break, and we got some comments in the chat. Other than Casey's beard looks great.
Good comment though. Appreciate you.
This is actually the first one of the day. Goes all the way. Well, I actually want to give this shout out. Hamby's Burner. He's checking in today from Kells, Ireland.
Dang.
So when we do roll call today, we got Kells, Ireland on the board.
Cool.
Yeah. He had said it was the most depressing flight of his life. The flight attendant even had to console me after that whooping on Monday.
Ooh.
Hey, it made you leave the country.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And now you're watching English Premier League soccer, probably.
Yeah, and I feel like you talk about Ireland. It's a good spot to have a beer. So
It's a good time to drown
drink your sorrows away, man.
If you're into that.
If you're into that.
And then Big Nuke Dog said, "Good morning, Austin and Brent. In efforts to save the season from this bad start, do we have any good trade pieces ahead of the deadline?"
We're already talking about trades.
Well, it's an interesting deal because I actually thought about this.
About trading.
Well, not yet.
I mean, should we do shock your mock right now? But I mean, man, it's week 4.
Have you seen the first 3?
Okay, let's go trade it. Let's talk about it.
Like I didn't fully invest my brain into trading people, but I actually I thought about it. I think Ty was asking me about like ETN, right? And not to trade. I'm just saying.
Okay, jeez.
He was asking me his contract situation.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
All right.
So then I was thinking, I mean, could they get to a point where he struggles? They just don't move the ball on offense this year. Things are whatever they are at 2 wins and 7 losses around the trade deadline or something. I mean, that's not out of reach right now. the struggles continue, you have a 5th-year option with him, which actually holds some value for the team that you could trade him to. And you think you like what you're seeing out of Tank Bigsby. You're not planning on ETN being here probably in 3 years and 4 years and that kind of thing, or you would have signed him to an extension.
Yeah.
So that's actually where my mind went a little bit. I mean, do the Jags get in a situation where they are sellers at the trade deadline? And by the way, guys, we've said this. They've got a lot of good players that we think would go play pretty well on other football teams right now. For some reason, they're just not playing very good here.
Yeah.
Cam Robinson. Anybody need a left tackle? Eric Armstead. How long do you need him here?
I mean,
Roy Robertson Harris.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, I'm not suggesting this, but I'm wondering. Andre Sisco in the safety spot, contract year. Like, they have pieces that they could move. I want to be crystal clear here. I don't think the Jags are sellers yet, but we're 0-3 here in Jacksonville. We're not far from being a seller. If they lose to Houston, they're 3 games back in the division, and they're winless. You're not coming out of that hole, by the way. Like, you might be able to entertain us for a bit and say, well, look, we could see some hope. Like, that's still, I think that happens. I think the Jags are going to actually fight their way back into this in some respect. I don't know if they're a good football team even when they fight back into it, but I think they'll mask some wins along the way, especially in this current stretch coming up. But if they do lose to Houston, you're about as out of it as you can be without a miracle happening.
True.
I mean, you are now way behind the Houston Texans, game in hand, and 0-4 with nothing in it. And by the way, if they get blasted by Houston, now you really got an issue because now things are you can't fix.
There's no parity. It's just like you're just bad.
You're really just bad. Like, it has gone 2018 bad.
Yep.
It just happened in September rather than October.
It's just wild, though, Brent, how we go from, like, trying to trade and get free agents because we think we're on the doorstep of making.
I know it.
And now we're talking about selling off everybody. I mean, so
is that far-fetched, though?
No, it's not. I mean, I'm surprised to hear it from you because you're supposed to be the positive one of the group, and you're more negative, I feel like, than I am right now.
I'm just trying to fix it.
I got you. Before we get into it, so do you think, just so we're clear, because I agree with you, where if they lose this Texans game, there's not a snowflake's chance in hell that you're probably going to go to the playoffs. But do you feel like the divisional winner goes to playoffs and that's it, right? Like, you don't see a scenario where the second place,
no, because right now,
there's going to be 2 teams from the AFC South going to the playoffs.
Right now, the AFC South sucks.
That's what I'm saying.
3 out of the 4 teams, like, I don't even know how good Houston is, honestly, right now.
Sure.
But they're better than everybody else, and 3 out of the 4 teams are picking in the top 4 of the draft.
But that's what I'm getting at, where you're only going to have one representative in the playoffs. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I mean, again, like, if the Jags win, I might change my tune because I told you last week the one nice thing that's going in Jacksonville is Cincinnati is 0-3, Baltimore's 1-2. So these teams that we thought would be in the mix are actually off to slow starts too.
Sure.
So like I phrased it like this, whatever day it was. They are not fallen as far behind as they could based on what we thought would happen in 2024. Because the other teams that we thought would be right there have problems. Miami doesn't have a quarterback. Baltimore's 1-2. Cincinnati's 0-3. Cleveland is 1-2. I don't think Indianapolis is a threat. I don't think Tennessee's a threat. And to be honest with you, the Chargers look like they're going to gather themselves well enough to win games. I just don't know if they can keep that dang quarterback healthy and their whole roster healthy. So we did this last week. The problem is that's a cool thing to be able to deliver to you and give you hope in my sunshine and rainbows world if they win a game. But if they lose again, I can't give you that.
So, well, no, and this is, and I guess kind of my leeriness and just kind of like my standoffish to this topic, Big Nuke Dog 1986 put it perfectly. And this is, and I was trying to think, like, why am I so, like, turned off this idea of selling players and trading right now? Because I really am. I don't know what it is, but then he explains it perfectly. From the years we've had, I don't think the fan base can survive another rebuild, restart, or development season. We need to see Trevor succeed now. And this is the point. You have your franchise guy. Now, whether or not he's playing like the franchise guy at this moment is up for debate, obviously. And I don't think he is. But you've paid this dude that much money to be your franchise guy. And not every team in the NFL right now can say they have their franchise guy in place. The Jaguars, they do. Whether you like it or not, Trevor Lawrence is your franchise guy
Yeah.
because you paid him so.
Sink or swim.
So when you have that, then it's like, okay, well then it's got to be win now mode. You can't think of rebuild mode. And I understand you're 0-3, might be 0-4, so there really is no like other scenario that you're gonna be like, okay, well we can stop hope. No, I mean it's done. You have to rebuild, but it's just when you have your guy at quarterback, Brent, you can't be thinking this way.
Okay, but no. It's okay. I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But I also don't look at this as a rebuild. I think the word there is a restart of some kind. I do think that a refresh.
If you're trading ETN away, if you're trading all these guys away, yeah, it is kind of a rebuild, a restart.
Well, I guess it's a way. When I look at rebuild, and around here in Jacksonville, it's been like rip it all down,
and
then start from scratch. I don't think that's going to be it. But I think right now, if you want to be a Trevor cheerleader and be like, this is all about Trevor, not even a cheerleader, just say it's all about Trevor because it is, well, you've got to find the right mix. This mix isn't it. At least if they lose again. I'm talking like if we get to the point where this thing still is 2-7 or something like that or whatever. God forbid what else it could be. But I mean,
honestly, I don't know at this point, Brent.
But I'm just saying this isn't the right mix, Austin. And
I know.
And let me tell you this: even if the Jags win this year, if they go where they want to go, if they fix it and go where they want to go, let me tell you who's not a part of it next year. Most likely, there's a good chance not to be a part of it. Christian Kirk, Cam Robinson, Brandon Sheriff, maybe even Mitch Morse. On the defensive side, Roy Robertson Harris. You could move on from a guy like Foye potentially. I don't know exactly his contract. I haven't looked at that. Cisco.
Do you think the new regime keeps Armstead? I mean, I know it's so hard to tell right now.
Yeah, I depending on if they think he's old. No, right? Like if he turns old and not just able to recover from these injuries, Armstead, ETN, I think is here if they were winning because I think you'll get the most out of him.
Yeah.
But if you're not winning, I can easily see that move piece because now you've already developed take. And people just don't value the running back. We know that. So they just go, okay, we'll go find the next guy.
Yeah, but also ask, New York right now how that's treating them with Saquon. But I understand. I'm not saying Saquon.
But
and
the
Chelsea
group
doing
think
the same
around
thing.
NFL is like we're going to go find another running back. So that I just listed 10 players.
Yeah,
that could
so
be
that's
out.
a rebuild, Brent.
But
when you have to replace 10 players?
But I'm saying even if they win, you could have 8 to 10 players that are gone from this roster that are big name guys.
Possibly, but if it looks good, then all of a sudden, if you're having a winning season, you can be like, okay, well, Armstead still got something left.
Well,
there's.
Yeah. And Kirk, you might re-sign, right?
Exactly.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I mean,
like
at this rate,
Cam's out, Sheriff's out. Morse, depending on how he does at 31 years old, could be out, and you recycle that position.
Walker Little, is he out, or does he have another year?
His contract year. So what are you going to do with him? I don't know.
I mean, if I was him, honestly, why would you want to stay around for Walker Little?
Yeah, no, I mean, he didn't add to his resume very well the other day.
Well, I know, but no, that's true. You're right, but yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's just, listen, this is, and we appreciate him still looking. Listening, delivered that comment way earlier, and now still here. Trades can energize a locker room as well. We see the lack of energy, and that's what I'm getting at. The Jags right now, and Fitz put it on. This goes back to what Dave Caldwell said years ago in a draft luncheon. He's like, you're not going to have 53 angelic players. The Jags might have too many angelic players, at least from an attitude, style standpoint.
Brent,
they don't have those guys.
But we praised this offseason how great Tyson Campbell was on the mic, how great Joshua Hines-Allen is, how great Trayvon Walker is, and their demeanor, their attitude, and how they go about their business. We sat there and praised them.
That's okay. Yeah. But we also acknowledged that we have acknowledged even before losses that where is that? They have one of the oddest receiver corner rooms that exists in the NFL. They have very little, and I'm not again. This sounds so bad to say, but I think just from the stereotypical corner wide receiver room that we know exists across the league, especially that is good and star studded, it comes with a swag. It comes with an
attitude.
It comes with what CeeDee Lamb did the other day, which I think is embarrassing at times, but it comes with a little bit of that. It comes with what Colorado and Travis Hunter might be. It comes with
what Jalen Ramsey was.
It does. And again, I love these guys. These guys are great guys to deal with. I think they're good football players, but it also might say you can't have a room full of that. And this is where the mix might have gone wrong. And I don't know that, but we did acknowledge that they don't really have a lot of that. Josh Hines-Allen, one of my favorite guys ever to wear a Jags uniform. But he's not the guy that's going to – he doesn't look like, or we haven't seen the guy that's going to just rip into you. Trevor is not going to rip into you and embarrass you on the field. Again, I think 95% of the time that's a very nice attribute to have. But there is that 5% when you might need it. And the Jags just can't manufacture that right now.
So I can't believe I'm about to ask this question, because if you asked me this question a year ago or 2 years ago, to me it's an obvious answer, but now you got me thinking a little bit about it. Who do you miss more in the locker room and on the field in terms of mentality? Calais Campbell or Jalen Ramsey? Because I'm almost leaning to the point, and once again, like, I didn't like some of the things all the time with Jalen Ramsey, and yeah, maybe he's not the best cornerback in the league right now, but at least that guy, like, you want to say he had the dog in him, you want to say he flapped his gums, whatever you want to call it, but that dude was different.
Well, listen, Austin, this is what I say, and people don't believe me because we always joke around like, hey, he blocked, but this, but no, this I loved covering Jalen because of that. Like, yeah. I thought Jalen was great in a lot of respects. I also thought he was immature and he could be an ass sometimes and all that. But I also get the game. Like, I think you need some of that sometimes. Like, what people don't understand is I think Malik Jackson could be like that for the Jags back then. We don't think about him in that context. But I think he could be that guy. We think Cam Robinson can be that.
Yeah.
The Jags don't have a lot of that where you're like teetering on the edge. Now, listen, there are many times over the last 5 or 6 years that if Jalen was here, the poison would be real. Like, it would just be too much.
If it was this season?
It might be.
I mean, it would be, yeah.
There is such a delicate balance. Like, you can't sit here and say, this is hard, okay? This is what maybe is the hardest thing to do in the NFL, is to get that mix correct. What is that? Because, to be honest with you, if you get it correct, it lives on an edge. It gives on the edge of, this thing's going to blow and combust, or it lives on the edge of, man, I can't wait to go kick your ass tomorrow.
But that's like, the thing, though,
that's
Brent.
The edge.
Okay, but then, yes, you have sometimes in locker rooms, you're playing with fire. You have the ego-driven players. You have the more of the humble and quiet guys. We talk about Mike Tomlin. Like, George Pickens is your prototypical, like, kind of diva wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I think, like, maybe TJ Watt's more of, like, I mean, yeah, maybe he get loud, but, like, TJ Watt's a little more, like, humble. Who's the defensive tackle? Haywood?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, classic example.
Yeah.
Just goes about his business. We're probably one of the most underrated players in the NFL.
Absolutely.
But, like, they have a mixture of things. They have Russell Wilson, they have Justin Fields, but, like, they get it done. And that's the point, where you can have all these personalities, and you shouldn't be shying away from those personalities. You just have to have the coach that can wrangle everybody up.
Yeah, I listen, we have said, again, you can go back and listen to what we've said maybe the last couple of years, but at time, like, when are they going to bring the guy in that they said they can handle the locker room? They got a little, I think they've gone so overboard at times on, well, does he fit? Does he fit? Does he fit? No, this locker room has been built to where the guy can fit. Like, you can't, the problem with 2018 is the Jacksonville Jaguars had guys like Calais and others, or 2019 by this time, you had Calais and others that he could not overcome. The Telvin Smith, who Miles Jack had followed Telvin, and now you got Telvin and Miles and Jalen and Jan, and now you've got like this other area of the room which is just too much to handle.
Yeah.
What's the balance? But you need some of it. Like, I guarantee you Baltimore has some of that. Like, they have that lives on the edge a bit.
Guess what, man? They also have John Harbaugh to keep it all in line.
Well, and they also have Lamar Jackson, who plays well, and they also have like a Roquan Smith, who might not be like that, can wrangle some of that in. Like, you've got enough leadership to be able to corral it. You need some of that at some point. And, like, I think Colorado right now in sport of football and college football is very interesting. Like, because I think it helps them win sometimes, but it also looks like they're going to combust and lose 9 games in a row sometimes. Like, they probably don't have they have a weird balance of that in college because their head coach is a little bit like that too. So it's really odd. But again, it gives them this swagger that they think, like, Colorado's coming into UCF this weekend? Are they coming into Orlando? It's at UCF,
so,
right?
Yeah.
And I think it's sold out. And they're coming in there, and, like, they're not good. They're not. But they think they're going to go crush the Knights.
Yeah.
Like, this is a football team right now that actually is good, and I wonder if they think they have any chance to beat Houston on Sunday. Like,
for real?
I need those guys that even when they get their ass kicked in an alley, think they're going to beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Like, you need some of
when
those
you get
guys.
punched in the mouth, you take it personally.
Yeah. And there's, again, I don't claim to know the balance of that. That's what these guys get paid to do. That's what the culture does. That's what the Doug, the Trevors, the everybody. But that's what the Bulky does.
But no.
And Bulky has not done that. Bulky has not given who on the team is this? Now, Rasheed Mathis told us last year, Brent, there's more people like that in there than you think, even though you can't identify one.
For
okay,
sure.
fine. But who
Brent,
is it?
Just because you never played, in the NFL doesn't mean you don't know though. Because this is life, man. Like if you keep getting knocked down, you get punched in the face. Eventually, you start to feel a certain type of way about it.
Yeah.
Like if you whatever, if you're at your job and you do your job, whatever it is, 9 to 5, pick your job, and the company is failing, and the company is failing you, and in turn you're failing the company as well, and it's in the toilet. You're going to feel a certain type of way about it. You're going to feel a certain type of way about the people that you work with, your bosses, the people in charge. You feel a certain type of way. And after 3 weeks, and listen, it's one thing, once again, I can't reiterate this enough. If it's close games, if the product looks like it's competitive, if it's like, man, one play here, maybe one play there, man, maybe one call here, and it's a different game. Maybe you're 1-2. Maybe you're 2-1. But the point is that you're competitive. You're in these ball games. You're in a half of a game with Miami, and then that was about it. And that's it. And then, there has to be a point where it's just enough is enough.
Yeah.
And you can't say anymore. And I get it. And we're always told this too, and I'm sure that the whole narrative hasn't changed when you talk to the media. After a game, take 10 minutes to yourself, sit in your locker, and just relax. Because you don't want to, we always thought the media wants to see you emotional, right? Don't show the emotion. At what point, though, is it so embarrassing where you don't even care about that anymore?
Yeah.
And you just speak for how it is, where it's not even like, I don't care if I'm not here tomorrow, because this has to stop. But no, it's more of the same. We got to look ourselves in the mirror. Do you know how sick and tired I am of hearing the phrase, and Jason Smith alluded to this, look ourselves in the mirror? And now here's the thing. Here's why I'm sick and tired of it. Because it's coming down from the top. Because all these players are saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, that always comes from the top.
That always comes from the top. And listen, you've been in locker rooms, Brent, you know this. Obviously, I know this as well. Locker rooms, regardless of what players, what kind of cut, what kind of cloth players are cut from, they always have different demeanors, they have different personalities. But every single player you seem to interview, it's the same thing. We got to look ourselves in the mirror. Look ourselves in the mirror. Okay, so what is that telling me? That's telling me that after the game, when you just got your butts kicked, by the Buffalo Bills, you circle around, you get around Doug Peterson, what does he say? Guys, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror. And that's the message that you send to your team. And then that team relays that message to the media. That's got to stop.
Yeah. So do you think, what team, before we go to break, if you were to build a team, do you want a team that's on the edge of disaster, combustible, to get to that line? How far, again, I'm trying to draw a line here, right, where the Jags have all these guys, if this was one of these great analytic charts, that are just sitting in the spot, again, good football players, want to win. It means something to them. Football's important to them. You hear that. They want to win for you, the fan. They get it. They understand it. They're trying their butt off to do it. And they're good guys. And so it keeps it together now in a place like this, right? When you're 0-3 and you look like that, it keeps it kind of together, which is important, and you know that too. You got excited. If you don't stay together, you're screwed. Or do you build your team on the bottom part of that that graph, where you still have 4, 5, 6 guys that are like, man, if we lose this game in Houston, they're gone.
So
we lose them. Their locker room's toast.
So here's what I want, and this is gonna sound just like I'm talking in circles, but really listen to what I'm saying here. If I'm a GM and I'm at a combine or I'm bringing in free agents, I want guys that hate losing more than they enjoy winning.
Everybody says that though. How do you know?
Oh, okay.
No, but seriously, don't they?
This team doesn't hate losing. If this team hated losing, we would have heard of a water jar. Listen, I'll tell you. I told you this story before. When I was in Detroit, Jim Schwartz. This is some behind the scenes stuff. Maybe I haven't told this story before. This is some behind the scenes stuff. Don't really want to put anybody on blast, but it's a perfect teaching lesson right now. I was playing in Detroit. We were playing Tampa Bay. Mike Glennon, right? Dude, he had the
long neck.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's yeah. I was making sure I had the right guy, but that's how I know him. Okay, so Mike Glennon comes to Detroit. I think we were favored by maybe 4 or 5 points, maybe even more than that. We're supposed to win that game. We're on kind of a roll. We lose that game. We get embarrassed. Mike Glennon tears us apart. Defense gets exposed. Rough game. We're all upset. We go in the locker room, and I'll never forget this. And like, you know, I don't think I even played. I think I was like down this game, but I was obviously on the sideline and everything, and I could just feel the entire demeanor. Like people were ticked. Jim Schwartz comes in, throws a water jug,
like a big Gatorade jug.
Big. Like first thing he does, comes in, throws it. Once again, I don't like calling people out, but this, I mean, whatever. This happened. It is what it is. DeAndre Levy, former linebacker, usually linebacker, captain, team captain, former Wisconsin Badger.
Okay.
One of the guys that I almost compare him to like a Darryl Smith.
Okay. Quiet.
Didn't really say a lot, but dude, like the way that he played the game, the way that he carried himself, you respected the hell out of him. And if he had something to say, you keep your mouth shut, you sit down, and you listen to what he's got to say. He stands up calmly, walks up to Jim Schwartz and goes, "That's not who you are. Don't ever do that again." And gets in Jim Schwartz's face. We're all watching this. Levy turns around and goes, "This bleep, bleep, bleep ain't happening again." And that was it. No, there was, more emotion.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of language, but that was it. That's all you had to hear. And this is a locker room.
So that was a good thing. That whole situation.
Yes. Well,
the way
it was a bad thing in the beginning because you had Schwartz, who was kind of more of a player's coach, out of character. Levy steps up and goes, "You're not doing that ever again."
Yeah.
And then he turns around and and this is a locker room full with egos. You have Kelvin Johnson. You have Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
But guess what? We all kept our mouths shut and we listened because he earned that right. So, to answer your question then of like, well, do you have to have these ego-driven guys? No, you just have to have guys that are eventually so tired of what's going on. You stick up for just being a man.
Yeah. I get that. And here's the one thing I will say. I feel like I know a good amount about the Jags. I mean, you hear stuff, you see stuff, you're everything.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to imply I know everything about the Jags.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's transpired in their locker room.
I don't think it has, Brent.
I don't. I'm just saying I don't know if it hasn't. I don't know if that kind of situation has or hasn't. Like I don't know. But I'm not saying it doesn't need to happen.
Yeah.
Like, that whole scenario is fantastic. The way it happened, the way it was received, the way it was rebutted, all those things.
Yeah.
And by the way, here's the deal. If you're a Jacksonville player that doesn't normally do that, if you do it, it speaks louder.
Correct.
Right? It speaks louder. I really felt like, I will say this again, I started the show today talking a little bit about Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
And I would say this right now. I feel like Evan Ingram's on the verge of that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like his...
And you know what? If anybody has the right to do that, it's him.
It does, but he can't if he's not playing.
I know.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
So, like,
you're right.
And again, this is a knock on him. He knows this. He can't go off the rails. I suggested yesterday or Tuesday he come in and be like, "I just watched this garbage, and that was some hot garbage," And but I think it's an unwritten rule. It's like, well, if you're not there, hey, dude, you weren't even with us. Like, you didn't have to stay in Buffalo for 2 extra hours after that. You didn't have to go through that. And why that's not fair, really, to Ingram as a captain, he would say, he said this. He's like, what I'm doing is getting myself back as fast as I can so I can then do that.
No, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I remember, and listen, probably the biggest locker room leader of all when my rookie year was Aaron Campman.
Yeah.
And when Aaron Campman got hurt, like, he would come in and he would talk to us, but like, he understood it and we understood it. Like, dude, we love you and we look up to you, but it's almost like you're not here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he understood that.
It's a weird deal, right? It's unlike anything else, but
people will never understand going on IR, being out for a certain amount of time, just like how discombobulated and just like how on the outside you actually feel.
Yeah. I look at the room. Let me just finish up with this, and this is total judgment on my part, okay? I go in there yesterday in the room, or I'm in the room after.
Yeah.
And, like, there were just some guys over the years, you're like, I have no idea what this guy's going to do.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. I don't necessarily feel that way about this locker room a lot, but I do think there are times in guys like Roy Robertson Harris to me is an interesting guy. Like he feels like he can be on that edge.
Yeah.
The problem is like, what's Roy Robertson Harris doing? With all due respect to him, like, what if he said something? It's kind of like, okay, right? The Ingram, I think, is a guy that is so well respected for the way he works, what he puts in, what he's been through, the highs and lows of it. I really think he could get away with it. But as just mentioned, he's not even there last week. Trevor is so out of character to do anything like that, and he's not playing well enough from a quarterback position.
Correct. Got to earn
Kirk
that.
would be super out of character. He's not playing well enough. ETN, I don't see him doing that. He's not that guy. Cam Robinson, again, that guy that might chuck something, but 8 pressures ain't enough.
Not playing up to it.
Right now, you have such a I think one of the guys that jumps out to me.
Could have been Foye, but now he's gone. He's hurt.
He comes to mind, but I'll give you the guy that I think would have the ability to do this right now, and it would register. And I don't even know if I'm correct, but he might. Is a guy like Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker's so mild-mannered, so calm, does his job, but he's respected for being this terrific athlete and how he does some, just what he can do on the football field, right?
Dude's a beast.
He's in year 3. If he were to come in and shake up that room, I think it would be loud. But it's so not his nature. He didn't have to do that in college. He had 50 guys that were, and by the way, they never did this. They played so well, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even Cam Robinson was asked yesterday, he's like, hey, do you ever remember a time where you lost like 3 games in a row? He's like, well, not in college.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'll give you 6 examples here in Jacksonville. That's what I said to him. But again, like if you're looking for that guy, like.
But then you have to be careful. Are you going to upend Josh Allen?
Well,
because I feel like Josh Allen's kind of
the Josh general. Could maybe do it too. But I didn't see Josh in the locker room, so I didn't see the look in his eyes. I'm actually trying to tell you guys right now, like the look that I saw in the locker room, the look that I see still on a Wednesday in the locker room, I didn't see Josh. I saw Trayvon's eye.
Sure.
Look in Trayvon's eyes yesterday and Sunday, like you can tell that guy's got a whole lot of pissed off in him right now.
No, I understand. But I'm saying if anybody's got, Josh Hines Allen's the guy that has to do this. Whether it's within him or not. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the personality and the mindset of Josh Hines Allen. I can't say it enough. But, if you're worried about ruffling some feathers, if you're worried about losing some teammates, whatever the case may be, but if one person has the right to do it, it's him.
Yeah, I would agree. But overall, let's just quickly recap. One of the major problems the Jags with having to jumpstart the locker room is maybe the ideal player to do it has been out for 2 games and wasn't even on the trip. Mm-hmm. And then any other player we factor in for the most part likely isn't playing well enough to be able to scream from the mountaintops. That's how bad they played Monday night. Now, if you did it coming off the Cleveland game, be different. You could find some guys that probably played well.
Correct.
That ain't it coming off the Monday night game. So it can't happen if you're not playing. We can't find the guy who's playing good football coming off Monday night.
How many teams can say that, though, either, Brent? We're like,
no, it's atrocious.
How many teams can come off a loss and be like, we really have no one that can really step up and say something because nobody played?
Well, we asked the question on Tuesday, who's the best player on this football team right now?
Yeah.
And we couldn't answer it.
No.
That's a problem. That's a major problem. And hard to fix. That's the point. That's kind of the moral of the week. The moral of the story this week is like, it's hard to fix that when that much is wrong. How do you fix that?
And that's the thing, man. At least like with the Bengals, you can go, Joe Burrow's pretty good. Jamar Chase still pretty much doing his thing. Like we can't say anything right now.
That's why, in my opinion, to answer the question of the week, I go back to Trevor. What makes Trevor play the best? I don't care if we lose this football game, but if Trevor goes 24 of 30 and throws for 280 and a couple of touchdowns, now I can build on something.
Yeah.
If we can't block still, if we can't run still, if we still have drops and we give up 40, who cares? I've got now Trevor that played well and not in garbage time. I'm not talking about when you're down 24-7. Yep. I'm talking about he gave us a chance. He did everything he could do. It all comes back to that young man, unfortunately, where he's the guy that can lift it. Because if you start there, you plug that hole, now you can start now he can yell. Now he can say something loud. Now he can start demanding. And I don't even know if one game's enough on that, but at least he can. So, Darnell Savage might be able to give this team some juice on Sunday. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know a lot about Darnell Savage yet. I don't think we really do. I don't know what kind of energy guy he is, but I know this. He's a good player.
Yeah.
And he played well in that opener, and they missed him the last couple of weeks too. He wasn't enough to help on Monday night, though. I don't think. Only one player could help Monday night. Ingram, Darnell Savage, Lawrence Taylor. I don't think it was going to matter. All right, we're way late on our break. Let's hit a break, and then we'll come back, put a bow on the show here on a Thursday edition. Get Ronan in on the show. I want to hear more about Pokemon or what else is happening. Maybe his diagnosis of the Jags. He's been listening.
Yeah, man, he's taking notes, man.
Still can't beat me in Pac-Man, I see, but
not even close.
We'll be back. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoldCityAC.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket, and while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
When I say it means something to me, gentlemen, it means something to me.
High school football is back, and it's bigger than ever. Welcome to the Friday Night Zone Blitz.
It is bigger than a game.
Watch the biggest games each week live as the action unfolds with instant reaction and analysis from our Hall of Famer, Kevin Sullivan. It starts with live look-ins at the top matchups, including our Jaguars Prep Whataburger Game of the Week, and that is just the beginning of 4 straight hours of coverage. From 8 to 10:30, the Friday Night Zone Blitz is streaming on our Action News Jax app and online. At 10:30, the Friday Night Blitz you know and love. A half hour of highlights from around the area. 11 o'clock, we shine the spotlight on the bands that pump up the crowd. 11:15, it's time to blitz through the highlights online and on air. Then 11:35, back to the stream to break down the night's results with a reaction from local coaches. 4 straight hours of high school football on the Friday Night Zone Blitz. Only on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to String Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to String Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Oh, getting a little worse.
Oh, man.
Tornado watch or warning? Where are we at? Till 10 o'clock tonight.
Probably had a watch, right?
I think it was watch.
Yeah. But I don't want to say, I don't know.
Be aware. Check out the First Floor Weather Team. Don't listen to us.
Yep.
When it comes
We're
to
just
that.
the sports guys.
Barstool FSU just said Waffle House is closed. Tallahassee is beyond cooked.
Oh, dang. if you're shutting the Waffle House down, man.
Maybe the Jags need to go back to Waffle House.
Right? You remember those days, bro?
Those are the good days.
Those
man.
are the glory days.
No, the Lions signed Allen Robinson to their roster, according to Adam Schefter.
Okay.
And I just see this quote from Gene Fredette. He was listening to the Nielsen news conference today. It says there'll be a seamless transition for Ventrell Miller to fill in at linebacker for Aluakin. He's been playing in the first 3 games. Ain't nothing seamless about that, okay? You go from Foye Aluakin, who leads the league in tackles, who's played in the league forever, and he's like a Pro Bowl guy. He's one of the most underrated guys probably around.
Yeah.
And you got a guy who's played like 24 snaps in the league.
Seamless.
That ain't seamless.
Yeah. Any more updates about the kind of defense they're going to run? Do we know? Is it going to be? I mean,
I didn't see anything else.
Listen, I feel like they're going to keep it pretty close. Like they're not going to say anything, right? They're going to try to take the Texans by surprise, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Hey, Ronan, come jump over here if you can. We'll get you on. Come sit down over here since you stayed the whole way. You didn't get scared when the dog came in.
Put you to work. Let's get some child labor laws on the horn. You want some headphones, buddy? You good?
I need headphones.
Oh, he needs headphones.
Yeah, we'll get him headphones. I mean, I could have done this in the break, but what the heck?
Yeah, you
Slide,
think
man.
we would have.
We're in hurricane coverage, guys. I mean, do whatever the heck we want right around
the
here.
head on too. Rep the playoffs coming up.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, we need them to win.
Oh, that's a Brewers hat. I did not notice that.
Yeah, man.
What's
we're
the
rocking with
significance
it.
of the Brewers hat with the sailor hat?
Yeah, so it was just
that.
it was a promo night,
Oh, okay.
It was
Kind of
an
like
event.
my Padres shirt.
Yeah, it was like Jimmy Buffett night or something. I think they had.
All right,
Yeah.
that's cool.
It was like an event.
Well, first of all, dude, talking to the mic, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're listening. You know, millions of people are listening right now.
Yeah.
So be careful what you say.
And you aren't gonna plug any of your YouTube channels, anything like that. This is the sports show. This is Brent Austen. This isn't the Ronin Network, okay?
Yeah.
You got a lot of
Yeah.
YouTube channels working right now.
He's trying to get some.
I know he was asking for permission a while ago. Have you
Ronin's
caved?
World. No, I haven't
No.
caved.
No.
What do you want to do on the YouTube channel, Ronin's World?
It's not gonna be. It's not Ronin's World anymore. It's gonna be like a gaming thing where I get to like play different games and like horror games and stuff. So if people want to try it, then they're gonna try it. Watch me freak out and almost get a heart attack from the game. So.
Kind of like
That's
me
gonna
when
be
we're
good.
talking about the Jaguars.
So you're
Nice.
already selling this. Like, he hasn't started yet, but he's selling. He's got
Hasn't even
promotion
come to
underway.
fruition. Still like 5 years away, but hey, he has a vision, Brent. That's good.
By the way, you know why we have Ronan on the show too? First of all, cool Savannah banana shirt. I like it. And also, he's like, hey, you guys have a lot of Whataburger stuff in here. He's like, Dad, are we going on Sunday again?
Oh, yeah, man.
We're going on Sunday. What do we get from Whataburger?
Honestly, I get a cheeseburger, pickles, no onions because onions taste weird on burgers, but
Hot take.
cheese and like mustard and fries.
There you go.
Do we get the
You get a
cookie as
shake?
well?
Yeah, I get a cookie and then I get a medium root beer.
There you go.
He goes root beer.
Get that root beer shake next time or something.
Oh,
Like, what
all
do we
right.
got?
Let's
How about-
up the sugar intake. Thank you, Brent.
Hey, Dr. Pepper shake. That's what we had the
awesome.
other day. That was awesome.
It's going up the sugar intake. Thank you, Uncle
Try
Brent.
that Sunday.
Okay.
I'll buy it.
Going off the walls.
try.
Tell him Brent sent you.
Tell French you.
Use code word Brent.
What else you got going on, man? What are you going to do all these days?
Hurricane party, right?
Yep, hurricane party.
What's a party look like? Wings and hot sauce, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gaming a little bit. May play some Smash Brothers.
Gaming. Never tried the bomb sauce again.
Yeah.
That was a misery.
Yep. That was a misery. We got some training to do too because I got my fight coming up, so we have to go do some jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Are you doing that too?
He does it as well.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Are you pretty good at it?
Yeah.
He's getting there. He's getting there. Can we tell him the story real quick about how maybe you got taken down that one time by a girl, which is fine. That's not a big deal. But then, now I'm getting embarrassed. So,
Dad, did you have to throw that in?
Okay.
well, no, tell me the whole story. So he got taken down, but then the next week, then he got a little upset about it and didn't take it easy, and we had to incorporate the tapping thing, which the kids didn't really know. Dude tried to go for the choke and put somebody out.
I like the fire.
Okay.
Okay.
The story was that they were trying to go for a takedown. My leg got sprained.
Sprained. Yep.
Yep.
Here come excuses.
And no.
Okay, please continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay, your knee got sprained.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the next week, I don't.
I guess the knee was fine, by the way. But okay, go ahead. Yep.
The knee got healed
Oh.
a little bit.
Yep. All right, hurry up. We gotta hurry up, buddy.
A little bit. And then I asked the coach if I could do choke and the thing, and he said yes. So and she tapped, so I got it. Yep.
All right. So we got to tap out too.
My story. Yep.
Have a good day.
All right.
You too. Be safe.
You be safe as well, man.
Woo.
Thanks for having us.